All right, shalom to the 12 tribes. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father and the Son in the Paleo-Hebrew tongue. Shalom to everybody who's on here right now, to all the 12 tribes scattered to the four corners of the earth. Ashar Shabbat, happy Sabbath to everybody who's keeping it right now, and to everybody who may be listening to this lesson later on. So this lesson is going to be called Haste Thee to Flee from These Times. We're going to talk about seeking the old past and coming out of her. All right, so once you come into the truth or into the knowledge of the truth, and you realize that the Bible is actually true and you have to follow it, there's a lot of things that have to come into play, or that a lot of changes that have to be made in your life. And once you get past the basics, as far as repentance from dead works or from sins, getting baptized, building up your faith, etc., there's other things, other precepts and things of that nature that come into play that you should be doing in order to keep you and your household, or you and your family, prudently moving forward and hasting to flee from the times that we're coming into and that we're in right now. And as we know, and as we're about to read in the scriptures, things are just going to get worse and worse and worse as time progresses. And as everybody's seen, even me and the brother were just talking about this briefly earlier, how there's people that aren't even of the faith that see all these things and see where we're headed and are preparing better than a lot of people that are of the faith, right? So that's what put me in the spirit to do this lesson, and to those who have ears are going to hear, going to act on it. So we're going to start in 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 13.
Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
So, especially to the brothers, as we know in Ezekiel and in other scriptures, the Most High says that men are the flock of his pastor. It all starts with men, the ones who teach the word, the ones who are leaders of the households, etc. So, especially to us men, we're supposed to be setting our houses in order, right? In the order that the Most High laid out for us. It says, reprove thy people. As people are going off, always starting with yourself, of course, working out your own salvation, examining yourself daily, correcting things that you need to correct, but also as be in trouble. You have to become the type of man that everybody wants to go to when they're in trouble. Right? And this is something I was telling another brother a couple of days ago, that you can't, as a man, right? If you got a big problem, you're not going to go to a female to get help. That's not going to help you. Especially that type of stability. Us as men, especially being the head of households, right? Renounce means to formally declare one's abandonment of, to reject or stop using, right? We have to renounce corruption. When you're going off, you're doing something that's not according to the scriptures, you have to learn to renounce it, to reject it. And it says to formally declare that you're going to abandon it, right? Like I've spoken on many other lessons, you have to learn how to rebuke all types of things, whether it be people, whether it be your own thoughts, whether it be anything that is wicked, anything that's against the word, right? You have to learn to renounce it. Go ahead.
Let go from thee mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature.
So it says, let go from you mortal thoughts. Anything that's mortal is something that is vain, right? Something that has nothing to do with salvation, with eternal life, right? Saying, let go of the things that are going to burden you. It says, cast away the burdens of man. How do you cast away the burden? What is a burden? A burden is something that weighs you down. Anytime you do something against the word or against the Most High and you know it's the wrong thing, you feel that burden.
Mm-hmm.
You should feel that burden. You should feel like a weight is on you. Like, damn, I know I wasn't supposed to do that.
Guaranteed you're gonna feel it.
Right? When you know, once you learn of the truth and you're going against it, and you know you're going against it, you'll feel that burden on your spirit, on your mind. Sometimes you can even physically feel it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. That weak nature is the flesh. The flesh is weak, right? So we're supposed to put that off. Go ahead.
And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet, also like it.
So it says, set aside the thoughts that are most heavy to you. A lot of people carry a lot of baggage with them, whether it be from their past. The majority of the time is from the past, right? You have to learn how to set those things aside because they're weighing you down. If this brother, if I told him he has to go walk a mile to get water and he was carrying a 50-pound kettlebell, wouldn't it make sense for him to set aside that because it's very heavy and go and get the water? So you have to learn how to spiritually and mentally let go of everything that's heavy to you. And like I said, most of the time it's things that are from the past. It could be something from the present, like I just said, when it comes to things that are burdens to you, when you're constantly living against the Most High, you're living in iniquity, a sin that you keep committing over and over. That's gonna weigh you down more than anything. It's gonna be most heavy to you, and the more you have something, the more you carry something. Like I said, a 50-pound kettlebell, for example. The longer you carry it, the more it's gonna weigh you down till you get to the point where you just can't take it anymore. Right? You have to learn how to put that off. And it says, and haste thee to flee from these times. So that's what we're really focusing on. Hasting to flee from these times. Hasting to do something. There's a lot of scriptures that say, be not hasty in your words and deeds and slack and remiss. This could be like, oh, I'm too hasty. Oh, this sister looks pretty. I'm going to marry her. And then I marry her and I find out she's a demon. Mm-hmm. That would be hasty and that would be slack and that would be going off, right? You should be prudent in your goings and you should prove all things of that nature. But when it comes to the word, when it comes to, okay, the Most High said, I can't eat pork no more. You should be hasty to apply that. When the Most High says you have to keep Sabbath, you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't work on Sabbath, you should be hasty to do that. Haste, the definition for haste is excessive speed or urgency of movement or action. So we should be moving with urgency to do things. What is this saying we should be moving with urgency to do? It says to flee from these times. To flee from these times. Okay? Shabbat Shalom, Warrior's Dream. Tavon Austin, Shabbat Shalom, Mark. Hope all's well with you. So we should be hasting to flee from these times. What does that mean? What kind of times are we living in right now?
The end times.
We're living in the end times, but guess what? We're living in easy times right now. We're living in super. Some people are gonna be like, "What?"
Niggas be like, "Huh? What you mean, bro?"
We're living in very easy times right now. What are you talking about, Doc? You just said we're living in the wickedest, evilest times. You can still go to the store and buy anything you want to buy. Food restaurant. You don't even gotta go to the store to get food.
You don't.
You can order it. You can call and order it, and they'll deliver it to you. Or you don't even have to call. You can get on your phone.
Yeah, open an app or something.
Right, and what is it? Grubhub or DoorDash.
Uber Eats.
You can get someone to deliver you the food. That's how easy life is right now. You don't even got to see anybody. You could say, leave it on my front door. Mm-hmm. I tipped you already.
Yeah.
We're living in the easiest possible times. But the problem is people are getting comfortable in these times.
Oh, yeah.
So it says haste to flee from these times. Haste means excessive speed or urgency urgency of movement or action. People aren't hasting to flee from these times because they're comfortable in these times. They would rather watch Netflix all day or play video games all day or smoke weed all day or just talk to girls, try and hit up females all day.
Or the biggest one, they want to stay in their comfort zone forever and always.
Or they're
Nobody
just
likes change.
they're comfortable wherever they're at, whatever position they're in, and that they've most likely been in for months or years and years, even if they've been in the truth or known of the truth, I should say. Right? They aren't hasting. They're not moving with urgency or action to flee from these times. So, like I said before, these are the easiest times we've ever lived in, especially for women. Right? I was speaking more to men about setting your house in order, but for women, I mean, most women can, if you got a child, you could live off of food stamps. You could live off of housing. You could live off of what is it? I've known sisters or females that they just dudes will just send them money for no reason.
For real, put their cash up in the bio.
For no reason, they'll just send them money. They look good. They'll actually a sister had told me a couple of days ago. Someone had asked her. This is gonna sound weird, right? But it's like Immortal Technique said, there's a market for everything.
Totally.
He said, "How much for one of your socks?"
Not for real.
I'm not even kidding. She told me this a couple of days ago. So you literally, for females especially, it's the easiest times to live in ever. All you have to do is be decent looking, have a body, and you literally can pretty much live for free.
Yeah. It's not profitable to be like that, but you could.
But what's gonna happen if you're not hasting to flee from these times, and if you're trusting in Babylon and lethargic to prepare you for what's to come?
Yeah. A lot of folks got Stockholm Syndrome and don't know it. A lot of folks have Stockholm Syndrome and do not realize that that's what they have. That's why they don't want to move.
So the definition of lethargy is basically being sluggish. Okay, you're sluggish, you're slothful, you're just comfortable in whatever position you're in, and since you're comfortable, you don't have to move. It's like you're laying on the bed, right, and you're on Sabbath. It's on Sabbath, and you're just chilling. You're laying down. You're in a comfortable position. Why are you gonna move? You're comfortable. Right? You're not gonna get up and go to the other room. You're comfortable. That's how most people are in this society. If you could read that one more time.
Verse 15. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times.
So we're supposed to be hasting, moving with speed or urgency of action to flee from these times. Because, as the next couple verses are going to say, this society is on the way out.
Oh, it's finished.
Go ahead.
For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein.
You want to get Matthew 24:7 real quick? So it says, haste to flee from these times, because greater evils than we've ever seen happen are going to happen after the times we're living in right now. And it says, look how much the world is getting weaker through age. Right? It's like I have one grandma left. My other grandma passed some time ago. My other two grandpas passed some time ago. But all of them had basically the same thing happen. Where they were comfortable All right, Salaki, y'all. This is what happened. We'll just read the scripture real quick.
Mark chapter 4, verse 14 and 15. The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts.
So that's all that was. Satan was trying to take away the word that was being sown into the people's hearts. My phone was plugged in, but it still somehow died. So we had to get back on with the brother's phone.
He wants y'all to be complacent, that's all.
Khan. He doesn't want anybody to be moving in haste to flee from the times to come. But you know what? That's a good. I'm glad that happened because it's a good example of what are y'all gonna do, or how are you going to get knowledge? A lot of people. I'm not saying everybody. How are you gonna get knowledge? How are you gonna get teachings and things of that nature when there's no more internet at all? Right, and that's like I've done a few lessons on that. But Amos 8 and 11, where it says there's gonna be a famine of the word. We know there's gonna be a physical famine, but just like many scriptures, there's a physical and there's a spiritual representation of each one. And when there's a famine of bread, of course, it's going to be bad, right? It's going to be really bad. But a lot of people that don't know how to break down the scriptures, they don't know how to study for themselves, they don't have a good foundation and a good relationship with the Most High. In those days, it's gonna be even worse, right? You're gonna be spiritually famine. So that's why right now is the best time to get to when it comes to seeking the old path. You have to understand the old path again, just like I said, is physical and spiritual, right? Of course, spiritually, for many people, I would say getting baptized is one of those first steps. Physically, right? And then also, of course, getting washed, getting cleaned with the word daily, coming out of all these false doctrines, which for the most part, I believe everybody, for the most part, everybody that sees my lessons or is on my channel has already done so to an extent. To an extent, but I know there's still a few people that still go to church and things of that nature, Christian church, things of that nature. And what you have to understand when it comes to coming out of her, right? When it comes to that, it starts with leaving the church.
Oh, yeah.
It starts with leaving the church because when you come out of her, you realize that the majority of people aren't willing to come out of what they've already learned.
And so, like, I just saw something on Instagram, right? Some of y'all might have seen it too. End Time Headlines had posted about how it went from 150,000 people to 1.5 million people around the world openly displaying how they're pagans. And people are still following their pagan customs. And it made me think about how the days of old was, right? We're supposed to be pursuing the old paths, right? But it made me think about the negative side of what Israel was doing back in the days of old and how many times over and over and over and over and over they would literally go off and literally start believing in these pagan gods and worshiping them after the Most High done showed them so many different things. So like the brother just said, it definitely starts with you leaving the false doctrine. That starts with the church before you even get to the truth. Then when you get to the truth, you gotta, chew the meat, spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying? So
Calm. And if you want to, I know you're holding that, but if you want to get Revelation 18, 18 and 4. So this is Deuteronomy 18 and 9. It says, when thou art come into the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. All right, so we have to understand, no matter where you're at, I know there's people in Jamaica, in Central America, in South America, in Africa, in Australia, and then, of course, here in the States that have reached out to me and said, they've watched my lessons and things of that nature. No matter what country you're in, for the most part, the people that are in charge are heathens, they are pagans, and they teach nothing but abominations.
Yep.
And whether they even if some of them may be Israelites, right? They don't know, they're still teaching and doing after the paganism and abominations of all these other nations. Go ahead.
It's a lot. Before I even read this, remember how all the leaders, right? I don't want to say kings because they're gonna think I'm being specific, right? The kings were the leaders back then, but notice how all the leaders, though, you had some that follow after the Most High in sincerity, and you had some who would go off against the Most High, following pagan stuff.
Israelites.
Exactly, Israelites at that. But it's Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities."
So it says, "Come out of her, my people," so you don't partake in her sins, right? So talking spiritually first, of course, coming out of all these other religions is where you start. For the most part, like I said, most people have already done that. I know there's a few that still, try and keep some of the laws, but still go to church and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can't do, or what you don't want to do, especially in these last days, is be lukewarm, right? Because following after, or trying to follow after the Bible, and then still going to a place where they don't teach you, hey, you have to follow what it says, and they don't just, when they just pick which verses or which precepts they want to follow, that is going to be one of the easiest ways for you to get destroyed in these last days.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be the quickest way to get destroyed.
Because that's like, what if, let me give you an example, right? Because Israel's supposed to be the church, or Israel's supposed to be the bride, Salakia, supposed to be the bride. So let's say I was talking to a woman, and I was trying to, court her or marry her. If she said no, I would be like, okay, we're going to go our own ways. I respect the fact that she says no. Mm-hmm. But what if she says yes, but then she's still trying to she's still talking to another dude? That's going to be way worse on her part, right? So that's what a lot of people are doing when they're partially in the truth, quote unquote, in the truth, but then they're also part of Christianity, part of Islam, even part of still believing in, law of attraction and Reiki and all these other types
chakras and
Khan. So you want to read this real quick?
This is Revelation chapter 3, verse 15 and 16. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold or hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
So the Most High knows our works, and it says he wishes that we were either hot or cold. Because if you're lukewarm, if you try to play the middle, if you try to play the fence, he's just going to spit you out anyways. Yep. You're just wasting your time. Mm-hmm. You're wasting the little bit of time that we got left. Right? So we're going to go back to, what did you have? Matthew 24?
Yeah, this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
So all these are just the beginning of sorrows. Now, we've been seeing these types of things happen for years and years and years, right? The beginning, I believe that the beginning has already happened. We're living in it right now. But it's going to get worse and worse in the times to come. And we're seeing it get worse and worse in the times to come. The lockdown that we just experienced these past couple years, that was just like a test. That was a trial run.
Because that draconian lockdown going to come in a minute. That's all right.
So if you really think about it, I wouldn't say the next lockdown, but one of the next lockdowns is going to be what they call a green lockdown. Okay, a green lockdown where, you can only use so much gas this week. You can only use so much greenhouse gas, as they say. You can only barbecue so many times. And this is why where I work, right, I put together riding lawnmowers and patio furniture and picnic tables and all types of outdoor equipment, right? And one of the things I've been seeing more and more is these new grills that actually a lot of people are buying them, even though they're $700 and up, all the way up to like $1,500. All right, up to like $1,500, $1,600, and a bunch of them. The new thing that they're doing is they're putting Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on the grills, right? And someone had asked me like, man, why are they doing like that's totally unnecessary.
To monitor?
It's to monitor how much you're using. Because eventually they're gonna be like, okay, you barbecued 3 times this week. That's it, right? Or they're gonna start finding people. You drove too many miles. And I know it sounds crazy, but they're already passing laws in other countries to start doing this.
You know it's gonna come here.
Yep, and it's gonna hit Babylon pretty soon. But that's just one example. You also have all these smart cars. Why do you think they're pushing smart cars so much? Because they can track everything. There's gonna come a time where they say, you know how they said only essential workers could go out? It's gonna be like that, but only for it's gonna be for if you're using gas. And then if you got an electric car, it's even worse because they can control everything.
Man, they can make your car drive off the edge of the cliff if they wanted to.
And they can what's it called? What's that dude's name from
Elon Musk?
No, Paul Walker.
Oh yeah.
How his car just he was driving with a race car driver.
And his stuff was messed up.
And he somehow crashed. And a lot of people, there's a lot of theories and stuff like that out there that, you know, they made it happen, right? But getting back to the topic at hand, it said there's going to be many earthquakes in diverse places, right? I'm looking at this earthquaketrack.com. It says in the past 24 hours, there's been 123 earthquakes.
Damn.
In the past 7 days, there's been 910 earthquakes. In the past 30 days, there's been 4,857 earthquakes. In 1 month, almost 5,000 earthquakes. And there's way more, but this is just the magnitude of 1.5 or greater. So if it's lower than 1.5, they won't even count them. But just think about that. 4,857 earthquakes in the past 30 days. Yeah, I wish I said there's going to be earthquakes in diverse places. There's going to be wars and rumors of wars, which anytime you look at any type of news, that's all there is. Right? It's wars and rumors of wars. You got you got Vladimir Putin, and then the president or dictator of China. Did you see that they were making pancakes together?
Yeah.
Making pancakes together.
What that tell you?
Which is also prophesied to happen. That they're going to come together and come against Babylon the Great.
Oh man, it's going to be bad.
Right, but the point is, if you want to go, you still have or if you want to get Revelation 18 one more time. I'm going to read this in 2nd Ezra 14 one more time. It says, and set aside, this is verse 15, Salakia, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. Like I said before, the times we're living in right now are easy. You could get food, you could get water. For the most part, you could live pretty easily if you try to. If you try to make a living, you could still make a living.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a point in time where things get a whole lot harder. A whole lot harder to get food, to get water, what's going to happen when you don't have electricity?
How you going to react if you don't got electricity, bro? That's the real question.
Calm. And I'm glad you said that, because the other day I was working with this female, and she misplaced her phone.
I know she lost her mind, didn't she?
It was a brand new, what's the newest iPhone?
14 Pro Max. That's the one.
That's the one. That's the one. Pro Max. That's what she said, right? So anyways, we're working, and I was like, where's your phone at? And she was like, oh, I left it in the restroom when I washed my hands.
Oh, my God.
She went real quick, right? Took off, went to the restroom, came back, looked like her eyes were watery, and I was like,
gone.
You didn't find it, huh? No. I was like, go check customer service in the front of the store. Okay, she goes to customer service, comes back. Comes back almost panicking. It wasn't in customer service. It wasn't in the restroom. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, here, take my phone. Log into your find. You have to Find My Phone. Yes, I have it. It'll work even if the phone's not on. All right, log in. Calm down. Log in. Right, panicking.
Woosah.
Breathe and look for it. She logs into it and she looks and she's like, look, it's already in this city and in another city. And I'm like, are you sure? And then she's like, oh no, that's my tablet. I'm like, okay.
Foolish.
I was like, okay, let me see the map. I zoom out and I see that it's at the store, right, that we're working at. And she was like, no, that's your phone. I'm like, you logged into yours.
Not mine.
It's not my phone. And you could zoom in so much, it's so accurate, you could see what part of the store it's in. I'm like, it's literally in this area where we're working, in the back, in the warehouse part of the store, right?
Oh my goodness.
So she looks for it. Long story short, she finds it, right? But the point is, if people will freak out, if a female will freak out that much for her phone, right? And another thing was, I was like, if you find out where it is, we'll go get it, right? I'll go and get down and I'll get the phone back.
Easy.
Would it be smart for a female to go, if a female gets the phone, is it gonna be smart for her if she tracks it and finds it to go get it herself?
Nah, it wouldn't be the wisest thing to do.
You might get beat up.
You might get jacked.
You might get kidnapped.
Snatched up.
You might get your car stolen.
You might get your whole life stolen.
You never know what could happen, right? But the point being, people will freak out so much for that. What would happen if your phone don't work no more? Or if nobody's phones work anymore?
It's funny because the more I think about it, like the closer we're getting to the chip and everything like that, right? The mark of the beast. Some people don't believe it's a chip, right? Whatever. But the closer we get to that, a lot of people who say they refuse to get it and stuff like that, that means you can't have no phone. You ain't gonna have no phone. You ain't gonna have this and none of that. You can't pay for nothing. So, like how the brother just said, if she freaking out like that, imagine when she don't got nothing.
and so if one person panics, right? Imagine how many people are gonna panic.
My goodness. And
that goes right along with what he's about to read. But let me finish this real quick. So it says, haste thee to flee from these times. So the times that we're in right now is completely, everything is based around instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Obviously, from social media to the internet to, like we were saying earlier, Grubhub. You're hungry? Okay, just put an order in on an app and they'll bring it straight to you, right? Even when it comes to relationships, people meet and they have sex right away. Gratification,
on Backpage.
And all of these things are quick. Seeking for the old paths is not a quick thing most of the time. Growing any type of food is not going to happen overnight. Let's say that.
Yeah, no.
Raising chickens, right? We were just talking, my household. We got some things planned, I guess, for the next couple weeks to increase the economics of our homestead. Let's just say that. And it's not going to come overnight. It's going to take days or a couple of weeks of work. But most people aren't willing to do that because they want instant gratification. Instantly, I get that. But guess what? Don't try to instantly change. They'll be super hasty to do all these other things, but they won't haste for the Most High. They won't move in haste to flee from these times. They won't move in haste to stop eating abominable foods. Mm-hmm. They won't move in haste to start keeping Sabbath. They won't move in haste to be set apart. So in doing so, you're actually showing what's more important to you. And it's not the Most High. Right? But go ahead if you want to read that. If you want to start on verse 2, I believe. Yeah, 2.
Revelation chapter 18, verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and the habitation of devils, and the whole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
So, any type of wicked spirit you could think of, whether it be lustful, whether it be abominable, whether it be homosexual, any type of evil spirit, I guarantee you it's here in Babylon the Great.
Mm-hmm.
If Legion had 3,000 spirits on him, imagine how many are in Babylon.
Trillions.
Go ahead.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
So all different nations have partook in Babylon's abominations. All these different, and when you really think about it, I remember years and years ago, when I was 17, and I signed. I was still in high school, and I signed up for the Army Reserves. Right, I signed my life away to this country.
First contracts.
Right, and at that point in time, I remember looking it up because I was already like conspiracy theorist type of. But I was gonna get a $40,000 bonus, so that's what I did it for. Right, I wanted a new Camaro or a new Charger, a Challenger, a Charger, one of those, and so I was willing to do it. So I signed my life over, and then I started looking more and more into it, and I was like, damn, the United States has military bases in over 150 countries.
Yeah, my brother even told me when he was in the Air Force, they had some surrounding like China, bro, like a big old circle.
In all the countries around it, right?
Yep.
And of course, that's for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But just to give you an idea, when it says all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, it's because all these other countries on the earth believe, or at one point believed, that America was the greatest. So when you think someone is the best, it's like Michael Jordan back in the day. Everybody thought he was the best. Everybody wanted to be like him. Michael Jordan, I remember a long time ago, I had seen something with Allen Iverson because that was my favorite basketball player growing up. Mm-hmm. And he said Michael Jordan was his idol. And then one time he went against him and he crossed him up and he almost tripped him. And then he made a shot over him, right? And after the game, he tried to talk to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan he told him like, "Man, you're my hero, you're my idol." And he was like, "Yeah, if I was, you wouldn't have done that to me." And he just walked away from him.
Oh my goodness.
Right? But the point is, that's how everybody saw Babylon. That's how everybody saw the United States. And so because they did that, they drunk of the wine of her fornication. They started doing all these different things in order to get in bed with the United States, which is why it says the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. The merchants of the earth got rich from her. Everybody was in bed with her so they could make some money. Mm-hmm. But now everybody's waking up and seeing that all these. Wait, hold up. So they owed us 50 billion and they paid us back, but then they printed 50 billion out of nowhere. But then they owed us 2 billion and they paid us, but then they just printed 2 billion. So they're starting to wake up and see that the greatness, quote unquote greatness of Babylon isn't real. Mm-hmm. It's all a facade. And that's similar to how a lot of people are waking up to the truth nowadays. Because we all thought Christianity was the way, Catholicism was the way, apostolic or Seventh-day Adventist. Even I know some that were Jehovah's Witness. It's all types of different types of fornication, different types of wine and doctrines. So now we woke up and we're like, damn, it's actually fake. Like that was all a form of fornication against the Most High. And we're waking up to the truth. So at that point in time, we have to come out from amongst her so we don't partake in her sins. Right? That's the physical side, though. If you want to read verse 4 one more time out.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities."
So Yahweh knows all these iniquities and her sins. Her iniquity is something you just keep doing over and over and over. It's like, yeah, I know it's bad to commit adultery, but I'm gonna do it again, and then I do it again, and I do it again. Mm-hmm. Or I know it's bad to break Sabbath. It's a sin, and you do it once, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and it becomes an iniquity. And that's why it says in the word that the wounds of iniquity cannot be healed. Mm-hmm. Because it's something you don't stop doing, right? But looking at it That's spiritually. So like I had said physically a minute ago. But looking at it physically, coming out from among her, you physically have to come out of these churches. But you also, it is very wise advice to physically come out of these major cities, because it's like I was talking to one of my daughters. I was in San Antonio last week, and every time I go to San Antonio, it's just like a whole different spirit. Me and a brother, Yashamar, I had met up with him the day before I baptized him, and we went downtown, went to the Riverwalk. We're just looking for somewhere to eat, looking for a restaurant, and we went down. It's street level, and we go down to the Riverwalk, and we go down there, and man, it was like shoulder to shoulder, just people everywhere. And the first thing I thought was, damn, if Jacob's Trouble went off right now, all these people are gonna go crazy. Like, imagine the electricity goes off down there.
They would kill each other.
It would go. All hell would break loose. So I was like, I was saying, I was telling my daughter, imagine in a city like that, about 2 million people. Imagine how much. Let's say, and I'm not saying this is the facts of the matter, but let's say out of the 2 million, only 20,000 are doing their best to follow the Most High, and most High knows it's probably nowhere near that number.
Probably less than 1,000.
But let's say just for argument's sake, let's say 10,000 people out of 2 million. How much death and destruction is gonna happen in San Antonio, right? And then compare that to the last city that me and my rib and my children had lived in. There was about 10,000 people. How much death and destruction is gonna be there? Then compared to the small town that we live in now, I believe it's less than 100 people. I'm not even gonna say the name though. I'm gonna look up the population real quick. I believe it's less than 100 people.
Less than 150.
Is that Texas? Okay,
it grew.
255, but it's all rural. It's a rural area, so there's very little. There's a lot of space per person. Let's put it that way.
That's the folks who've been buying the land. That's what.
Yeah, 255 people. Okay, so it's gonna be a lot wiser, and it's more prudent to come out physically from all of these bigger cities, because there's gonna be more danger, more death, more destruction in all of these cities. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that the Most High's hand is shortened and he can't save anybody in these cities. Of course he can. We already know that. That goes without saying. But the point is, being prudent means using wisdom to look towards the future. And when you're using them, and you don't just believe, but you know that death and destruction is going to come to all these other people, right? As a matter of fact, if you only got 2nd Ezra 15, then it would be a wise thing to come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers in her sins. Because the amount of sin that's happening in, say, San Antonio, like I said, because I just visited there, 2 million people, there's a lot more sin going on there than there is in the town we're in now, which is less than 300 people. Or like my mom just visited Mexico City. And when you look at the population for Mexico City and the outer lying areas of Mexico City, it's almost 100 million people.
Damn.
In one city. The United States has only got like 200 and some million people. So in one city, it's almost half of the population of the United States.
My goodness, bro.
So imagine how many plagues and how much death is going to be happening there, right? But if you want to read 15 and 4.
2nd Ezra chapter 15 verse 4. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
Anybody who is unfaithful is going to die in their unfaithfulness. If you don't have faith, you're not going to make it through the days to come, right? Because without faith, it is impossible to please the Most High. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction.
The sword, famine, death, and destruction. All these things are going to happen to who?
It's going to happen to all those who are dwelling in the world that are unfaithful.
Everybody who's unfaithful in the whole world, though. And that's why I don't find it funny, but I think y'all know what I mean when I say I think it's funny that there's some people that say if you don't leave the United States, you're going to be destroyed. Right? There's some people that say you have to go back to Africa in order to be saved. Okay? What's the dude's name? Is it Ronald? Whatever, the dude that made Hebrews to Negroes.
I don't even know his name.
Let me see. I think it's something Ronald. I forgot the man's name. Ronald Dalton Jr. He teaches this, right? And there's other people that teach it as well. You have to go back to Africa in order to make it. I'm not saying don't go back over there.
It's up to you.
If you feel in the spirit to go over there, okay, go over there. But the point is, the plagues are going to come upon all the earth. There's nowhere you can go to hide from the plagues. Right? I know brothers that have family in Nigeria, and months ago they were already they decreased the ATM was I think it was $35 to $45
Oh, God.
a day. Okay, because they had their own digital currency since last year, and nobody was buying into it in Nigeria. Nobody was buying into the country's digital currency, but over 50% of people there had some type of crypto. So they were buying the crypto system. They just didn't want anything to do with the government's crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing they did was decrease on the ATMs. They were like, okay, you can only withdraw, I believe it was $45 a day, which is ridiculous.
You can't do nothing with that.
Right? How are you going to live off of if you can only pull out, if you got to pay your rent, it's going to be way more than that. You better start pulling it out at the beginning of the month.
Man, what?
You know what I mean?
Every day.
So everybody in any type of country is going to fall victim to the plagues and the death and the destruction that the Most High brings if you're not moving in faith. And when I say faith, I don't mean just, okay, yeah, I believe and I'll be saved. That's Christianity. Right? It's actually doing things according to what the word says to do, to prepare, to haste, to flee from these times. Right? And the main one, starting especially for brothers, getting your house in order. Right? Your house, when I hear your house physically, of course I think of your household, your family, etc. But also your temple is your house. It houses your soul, your spirit, your mind. Getting yourself in order. Right? But if you want to read that one more time out, and I'll get this real quick.
Con. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction.
So all these types of things are going to come no matter where you're at. And the Most High is going to redeem or rescue his people out of all countries where he scattered them. Right? So you don't have to be in one specific place in order to be saved. Mm-hmm. But no matter where you're at, it's going to be a wise thing to come out of the bigger cities. Right? And I know we talked about this before, and I've heard many brothers say too, well, everybody's got their own lot, we all have our own path. But at the same time, it's like this: if you're spending hundreds of dollars on Jordans, if you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on jewelry or designer clothes, or if you're driving a new Mercedes and spending, I don't even know how much. I've never had
Mercedes, some bread.
Right. I know there was a brother a while back that said, because I told him I'm not rich, and he was like, yeah, but you got land. You're being land rich is rich.
Makes you rich.
Because you can live off of it. Mm-hmm. But the point is, I've never had a new vehicle. And me and my rib were talking about it before. I've had about 10 vehicles already in my lifetime. And I've never had a new one because I always thought it was a waste. I just need something to get me from point A to point B.
It's really all that matters.
I need something that's big enough for my family. I had a van with 7 seats. Now we got 7 in my family. And now I got a van with 8 seats. And and it runs good, and I can make money using it. So that's all you need. But I know there's people out here that are of the faith driving Mercedes Benzes and BMWs and all these other types of vehicles. And I'm not saying, okay, if you got the money to do that and you want to do that, you do that.
So be it.
But I will tell you this: if using an example, right? I have a family member that has a GMC Acadia, I think is what it's called. It's like a small SUV. Her payment is $600 a month. $100 a month, right? And it's 2021 or 2022. $600 a month. So one payment, I don't know how much a Mercedes-Benz payment would be, but let's just say it's 600. Okay.
If you get the right guys, about 7 to 8.
Right. You know what? Just for argument's sake, let's say it's $500 a month. Okay. Today I got 2 fig trees, a good size. Some of the ones that were there already had figs growing on them. They're probably almost as tall as me, so maybe like they got to be like around 5 feet tall. Okay. And I got them for $20 each. So $40 for 2. So let's do this. $500 payment. You know how many fig trees I could buy with that?
And that's gonna produce fruit forever.
That's 20 with
Gross.
one $500 payment. I could buy 25, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 con. I could buy 25 fig trees. And you could eat off of that. Right? I know people in this truth or of the faith that they got beautiful lawns and they got sprinkler systems and they're watering their lawns and you can't eat grass though.
Nah.
How much more prudent or wise would it be to just plant some food?
I'm too lazy. I too much work.
Right. My neighbor not too long ago. Oh, the brothers. You can do so much with $600 a month or even $500. That's why I bought a used car. Groceries for a week for my rib and I is about $100 for a week. Hey,
I just spent $150 today, bro, on groceries alone.
Hey, I'm not even gonna give numbers, okay? But I got 4 children and a newborn. I got 4 children and a newborn.
Tell me you do the math.
All right. I'm sure that 500 can buy a lot of chickens.
Man, I got 27 chickens, bro. All praise to the Most High. You definitely can buy a lot of chickens with that.
So me and my rib and my daughters were just talking about this as well, right? When it comes to chickens, because we were looking at incubators and which ones we're gonna get. As of right now, right? As of right now, we've been looking for months since about winter time or fall time, so maybe October-ish. So October, November, December, January, February, March. It's been about 6 months. We've been looking to get more Orpington chickens, and we haven't been able to find them anywhere. And even at Tractor Supply, and we checked at a couple other places where they sell chickens, they're like, nah, man, those like, if we get any, they're gone right away.
Immediately.
Right. So we have some Orpingtons and they lay a lot of eggs. So we were just thinking, I mean, it's supply and demand. The lower the supply, the higher the demand is, right? And not to get off topic, but just to go along with what the brother said, with $500 of chickens, if we just incubate, because how much was that dude selling them for? 21?
Yeah, $21 a chicken.
Down here,
they was already 6 months too laying.
Yeah, laying chickens down here. You could get them probably 20 to up to $40-$50, depending on.
Some folks will bust your head open for them chickens.
Depending on what breed they are, because some are better layers, right? Yeah. But just to summarize, imagine $20, let's say 20 a chicken, but they're already laying, and I mean like we got 24 or 26 eggs a couple days ago, and then today went outside and there was 22 more. I'm like, damn, we can't even eat these. Bro. We gotta store them because we can't eat them fast enough.
Dropping them mugs on y'all.
You know what I mean? So that is something that is gonna benefit you as opposed to something that's gonna depreciate like some Jordans.
I would think that's a good problem to have if you have.
Oh, con. All praise to the Most High. It definitely is.
I think that's a great problem.
That's a great problem to have. And actually, somebody just did a stuff a couple of days ago about she wants to buy eggs too because she can only eat they got to be eating organically. Yeah. Right? They can't be eating a bunch of junk and GMOs and stuff that they feed them that they get at the stores because it'll mess up her stomach. Yeah. So it's a good problem to have. But the point is, if you want to get Jeremiah 6:16, the point is there's certain things once you're in this truth that you could do in order to be more prudent. And like the brother just said, $500 can buy a lot of chickens. Right? As opposed to if you're dropping $500 a month on a car note.
You buy you a few sheep with that, dog.
That's crazy. And like I showed not too long, it was last week, I believe, because so many brothers and even a couple of sisters were hitting me up about, well, I don't know where to get land and I can't find none and blah, blah, blah. There, if you just look, Land Watch is one of the best ones. There was 6 acres about 25-30 minutes away from here for $18,000. That's $3,000 an acre. Now, of course, they don't have no electricity.
You can make that work with solar.
But you can, if you're fine with living, seeking the old past and living a similar life.
They don't want to go that route. They don't want to see people today. They don't want to live without running water. They don't want to live without electricity that comes from the government and stuff like that. They ain't ready to go that far.
But that comes with doing what? Hasting to flee from these times. Mm-hmm. Again, hasting is excessive speed or urgency of movement or action. It said haste to flee from these times. Mercedes-Benz isn't gonna matter in a few months, in a year. When you can't pay your rent, what good is having a Mercedes gonna do you?
You ain't gonna be able to sell it at that point. So.
Nobody's gonna want to take that off your hands. Nah. The brother said chickens are a great investment because just like a fig tree, it continues to produce. What the hell is a brand new Dodge Charger going to profit?
It ain't gonna profit you nada.
It's not gonna profit you anything. And you know what? The types of people that have, or let's just say that are flashy. Mm-hmm. People keep mental notes of those type of people. Yeah. And in those days, even if it's fake, even if it's all a facade, right? And you really don't got it like that. It doesn't matter because people are gonna think you have it like that.
Oh yeah.
And in the days to come, if they know where you live, or if they know where, you may be at, or where your family may be at, they're gonna come looking to see if you really have it like that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna put you on the test.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you really have it like that or not. And I remember a long time ago, somebody had said that it's better to have, $10K in your bank than to have a Mercedes than to have, $100 in your bank. Or so like you have $10K in your bank and be driving a Toyota than to have, $100 in your bank, but you're driving a Mercedes. Mm-hmm. Right. The brother says simple people. That's why the simple man is easy to fall into temptation. In Spanish, we call them gente corriente. Yep. Yep. And you know what? It means fast people, right? People that are fast to, and that's why I said earlier, this says haste to flee from the times. People are hasty, but they're not hasty in the right areas of life. You should be hasty to flee from these times and to seek the old path, but instead, you're real hasty to just get on the next fad, to get on, what do they call it? Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They see someone else has something and they got it. Okay, well, yeah, they got jewelry. I'm gonna start rocking jewelry.
We live in a monkey see, monkey do society, bro. A microwave society and a monkey see, monkey do society.
And they go hand in hand because you want everything fast, microwave society, right? But fast isn't always good for you. Just like you microwave some food and guess what? That's why in Russia, microwaves are banned because it zaps all the nutrients out of the food. It nukes the food.
Literally.
All you're doing is just filling your gut. You're literally just putting feces into your body.
At that point.
So that goes hand in hand with, okay, well, I want that too. You want to go ahead and read that real quick, Hawk?
It's Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein.
So my uncle, just to give an example, right? My uncle, I remember when he came back from doing tours overseas, and he said when he was over there, he just had to be busy, busy, busy to take his mind off of things, right? When he came back, he would do the exact same thing. He always had to be busy, bro. Like he'd go to work, he'd come back, he'd be outside doing something, fixing something or building something up or things like this, right? And the reason why he would do this is because he was restless. A lot of people are restless spiritually. And that's why it says, the Most High says to seek the old paths. It's the good way. Walk in the old paths and you'll find rest for your souls. But most people say what?
We ain't finna do that.
We will not walk therein because they're already restless. They're used to it. They're comfortable. They're comfortable in the times that we're in the ways that we're living right now.
Stockholm Syndrome.
They think that this is the way that is most profitable to them. But in reality, it's the opposite of how they need to be walking.
I got a precept actually.
Go ahead.
And this is one of my favorite precepts because it justifies the fact that like it's the most profitable thing you can do is to flee out of the midst of it. It's Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense.
So as all these things are starting to happen in Babylon, and of course we know that a lot of them are set up by the powers that be, but the Most High gives a green light to all the powers that be. He allows them to do certain things, those that are on the left-hand side, for his prophecies and for his truth to be shown as true. Meaning all these plagues that start happening, pestilences, famine, they're all just little key members of the bigger picture, and he's in control of all of it. But when he says he's going to recompense Babylon, which he's already doing, you better believe he's going to recompense Babylon. And in all these bigger cities is where it's going to be the worst because there's the most amount of wickedness. Like it said in Revelation 18, their sins have reached the heavens.
Oh yeah.
So the Most High is not slack in any of his promises, and when he says he's going to do that, of course it's going to happen. Which again, and I've been saying this since, man, probably at least 5 years now, that coming out of the more populated areas, being as self-sufficient as possible, even if right now you're not completely self-sufficient, if you're better off, if you have some chickens and some means of growing, and you have a little bit of water or food or whatever stored up, you're doing better than 90-something% of people.
Man.
Because the majority of people don't care about the old paths.
Take that one talent and make it two.
Con. And it's like there's this famous, or I wouldn't say famous, I guess you could say famous pastor, that one thing he had said that stuck with me. No. He's an Israelite. He's an Israelite at least. I won't even say his name, but he had said that you will never truly know the mind of the Most High until you put your hands to the dirt.
Oh yeah.
Until you actually either husbandry or agriculture, either animals or food, or growing or raising animals, growing food or raising animals, you will never truly know the Most High, because if you look back at Israel, there were always people of husbandry and agriculture, right? They were always a hard-working people, and that is part of the old past. It's a simple life.
Nehemiah 4 and 6 said they had a mind to work.
Khan, you want to get that real quick? They had a mind to work. Everybody. That's the thing. People are so simple nowadays that they think being on social media all day, watching Netflix or TV all day is a fulfilling life. Like if that's the reason the Most High put him on this earth. So you could be on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and what else? Snapchat all day.
Chap snack, what you call
Chap
it?
snack. Right? That's what you were meant to do. That's not what you were meant to do. And when the Most High snatches that away from you, you're gonna see that wasn't what you were supposed to be doing. And I don't know if you've seen that. There's a bunch of politicians that are trying to push a bill that would ban TikTok.
I saw that actually. Yeah.
So
good.
They already banned it from all government phones. So if you work for the government directly, you can't. It's banned. You cannot have TikTok. But now they're trying to pass a bill to completely ban it because supposedly, China can get your location and all types of information and pictures and all of that.
As if they can't do it already.
Right. But the point is, that is not the old path. That is not the good way. And that was something else I was going to make a video on not too long ago. But how long do you think it would have took Noah to build the ark if he had Instagram, Facebook, TikTok?
Man, you know how fast he would have built that jump, bro. All the information that he would have saw, he'd be like, okay, this is a better way.
What if he got distracted though, Ak?
You could have been in my personal opinion. I feel like because it would have been such a new thing in that time period, which obviously nothing is new, but in their eyes, it's like, oh, right. I mean, just being realistic, social media is one of the most distracting things ever. So I feel like it definitely makes people procrastinate. This is Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to work.
They had a mind to work. And the thing is most people don't have a mind to work nowadays. Even men, that have families and things of that nature, they don't have the mind to provide for their families. Mm-hmm. Right? Women don't have a mind to work because what type of work are they supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be teaching their children. They're supposed to be honoring their husband, being a help to their husband. Supposed to be building up their house. Like it says in Proverbs 14, a wise woman builds her house, right? But a wicked woman will tear it down.
Yeah, buddy.
This is 2 Chronicles 26:10. Also, he built towers in the desert and digged many wells, for he had much cattle, both in the low country and in the plains, husbandmen also, and vine dressers in the mountains and in Carmel, for he loved husbandry.
That's it. That's the same verse I was looking for just now.
Just talking about Uzziah, right? Talking about Uzziah.
Yeah, he loved it.
He loved husbandry. So this is the type of people that Israel was. They were a self-sufficient people. They weren't going to all these other nations and saying, okay, we're going to depend on these people for food. We're going to depend on them for water. We're going to depend on them for meat or for whatever else, for clothing, right? And that's why maybe either tomorrow or the next day I'm going to do, a lot of people have been, or I've been telling a lot of people about it, and people have been asking that brother's book, Hondo Solomon.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of good information in there, right? Yeah, and
you got to pick and choose.
There's a lot of good information in there, and the next lesson that I do is going to be not only on polygamy, but it's going to be on polygamy, how it's supposed to be looked at in an economic way, right? Because when you see this, he loved husbandry, but look what it says: husbandmen also and vine dressers. In order to live this type of lifestyle, it takes a whole lot of work.
Sure, dude.
And one person can't do it on their own. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna go back to this. It says troque boa. That's why in Mexico, people from the mountains, which are generally poorer, are more respected. My dad is from a ranch in Sinaloa, and they live the old life. But city folk tend to be materialistic.
That's very true. That is so true. I might even joke, but you said something right there.
And that's why when we look at Yahushua as the perfect example, right? When we look at him as the perfect example, he was a hardworking man too, right? It said that he was, some of them say uh he was a carpenter in some versions. Some of them say he was a construction worker.
Same thing.
Right? Either way, he was a hardworking man. And when you see that little feminine Cesar Borgia picture of Yahushai, you gotta realize, bro, by the way they describe him, and back then they weren't using power tools.
Nah.
You know how in shape that man must have been?
That man was probably like super swole.
He he was probably ripped, bro.
Shredded.
And this is Mark 6:3. This isn't the verse I was looking for, but I'm reading it anyways. It says, is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Judah and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But at the beginning, it says, is not this the carpenter? That we're talking about Yahushai. Right? Being a carpenter is hard work.
Man.
When you put in hard work, the more hard work you put in, the more you learn. And experience teaches a lot. Right? He who has experienced much has much wisdom. And also, when you're working with your hands, you got a lot of time to think. I know, because I work with my hands all the time.
Man, for real though, bro. You sit there and think about the whole world, everything about your life, all type of stuff. Most I put stuff on your spirit.
Warrior's Dream says, respect. I respect anyone who can live off the land and fend for themselves. Yahweh willing, I'll be in that lifestyle one day.
Most I will, man.
Khan. I have nothing but respect for people like that also, especially in this day and age, because that is a part, physically, that is a huge part of the old path.
Makes me respect my grandmama even more, because she never switched up from her roots. She would always cut her own grass, grow her own food. She used to live on the farm and stuff like that. So it's interesting, like the brother said. It teaches you a lot, makes you think about a lot of stuff. So you look back at. Sometimes you look back at how the previous people in your family grew up, and it's like, dang, okay, I get it now.
Calm, and it makes you think too, because there was a lot of females doing this type of work. Like I remember, I got on Ancestry.com one time years ago, just to try and find my dad's. Let's see, my dad's great grandpa, right? Because I can go back. I can go my dad, my grandpa, and then his dad. And I found some records that were from the early 1900s of my great grandpa working for certain companies in fields and stuff. And that was cool, right? But what was crazier to me was he had sisters and other family members with the same last name. And they literally had records of how many hours they would work. And there was females in his family that would work just as many or sometimes even more hours than him.
Getting it in.
Picking fruit and picking all types of stuff, right? So if women back in those days could do that, and now you look at how weak the majority of men are, it's crazy when you look at it that way. When if 100 years ago, some of my great or great ancestors, females, could be working that much outside, and when you look at South Texas, bro, like how hot do you think it was today, Ak?
Bro,
Let me see.
Bro, it was about 96 degrees, dog. 4 degrees under 100. And it felt like it was about 100. That's what it felt like. And it wasn't because I had black pants on, bro.
Con, it's gonna be okay. The weather's gonna drop a little bit.
I was gonna say it wasn't no 86 degrees. I tell you that.
It's already getting into the 90s here, right? And it's summer. I mean, Salakia, spring just started.
And I've been outside all day today too.
Right. So having females that could be working hours and hours and hours, it's crazy now to see. Like I said, that is a part of the old path, though. And if we have the opportunity in Babylon or in the United States or wherever you're at right now, it doesn't even matter how much land you have at this point in time, because it's like this, okay? Whatever you're given at this moment, you've got to do the best with it that you can do. And then if you do well, and like Yahushua said, knocking it'll be open to you, asking you shall receive. You, if you're doing the right things, you're putting the work towards it, and you're obeying the Most High, and you're asking for more, it's in His will. He's gonna give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you have at this moment, like I know you said, warrior's dream. How willing you'll be in that lifestyle one day. I would say wherever you're at right now, just start doing as much as you can.
Bro, I promise you. I tell you from my own personal experience, dog. Just like the brother said, whatever he give you, make do with it. That's the best that you can do. But definitely don't be scared to ask the Most High for whatever it is you want. Sometimes you got to ask him multiple times, but also always include in your prayer that if it's according to his will, because we don't always know what's best for us. I made a video about this on my Instagram like a few days, or like I think 2 days ago, and I literally said in there how me pursuing the old paths, it showed up in my mind in a different way before it happened in my actual life. So you can ask the Most High, you know what I'm saying? He'll give it to you if it's according to his will, but it's probably not going to be how you expect it to be. However it comes, you got to just take it and run with it, because like the brother said, it don't really matter how much land you get, bro. You can get you can get a quarter of an acre, bro, and make something shake with that. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, that right there is better than nothing. It's better than you just paying rent and not having nothing to do.
Con, I agree 100%. And it's just like the talents. You do good with that, and who's to say? Because
Yep.
remember the one that got the talent and he did nothing with it. He buried it. What happened to it?
He gave it to the next person.
He said, "I'm gonna take it from you, and I'm gonna give it to the next one that actually did something with it." So, like the brother said, if you get a little bit and you do good with it, and then let's say you have one talent, and then you turn it into 2 or 4
or 10
or 10. Now you save up 5 of them, and you use the other 5, and you can get more.
Yeah, most I give you what you man. Most I give you some crazy stuff, bro. You don't even know. Who's to say that, you know what I mean? He won't just open up a space in like maybe a mile or something from you, bro. And you all of a sudden go from a quarter of an acre to 4 to 5 acres. You know what I'm saying? Just for example, bro. Like anything is possible with the Most High. You never really know what he's gonna do.
Con. So this is Isaiah chapter 30.
Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
So it says, woe, danger, death, destruction, plagues, curses, bad things to the rebellious children, to people that rebel against the Most High, that take counsel, but not of me. A lot of people want to get counsel or want to get advice from people that are not going to give them the word. I think you should do this. Why? Because they don't want to follow the word. A lot of people, I know personally, people that'll come to me and get advice, and then it'll literally be, okay, well, because of this precept, this, because of that precept, that, the law says this, then over here in the Apocrypha it says that, over here in the New Testament, Yahushua said this, and they'll go and get advice from somebody else, just because they don't want to do what the word says to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit. So a lot of people like to cover with a covering, but it's not of the word. And for example, you'll have people out here that they're Christian or they say they believe the Bible, but they just say, well, I'm gonna be a good person and I'll make it.
Nobody's good, bro? What that mean?
Yahushua, so yeah, of course, Yahushua said, "Why thou callest me good? There is one good, and that's the Father." Right in Matthew, I think it's 19:16 or 19:17.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, there's people that's their covering. They don't care what the word says. They don't care if you can show them book, chapter, verse, because they're gonna try to cover with the covering. For what reason? That they may add sin to sin, because they don't want to do what the Bible says to do.
What's that one verse in Isaiah where he says they scream, "Tell me, prophesy to us lies, tell us sweet lies."
It's right here. It's verse 10. It says, "Which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit." right? And I've come across a lot of brothers like this, that they will speak smooth things to either brothers to try to get them in their camp, to try to get some money out of them, to try to get some type of benefit, but also they will speak unto sisters smooth things.
Mm-hmm. Swagger lights.
Cause they, cause they want, you know what they want from sisters,
Oh my gosh,
right?
bro.
It says, "Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits." It's like that song, "Tell me lies,
Tell me lies.
tell me sweet little lies."
Talk to me nice.
Right? But the point is, going back to verse 1, Isaiah 30:1, it says that they may add sin to sin. Go ahead.
That walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
So many people don't want what the Most High says. They don't want what the Most High has to offer. They would rather go down to Egypt, meaning the land of captivity, in order to follow that as opposed to the Most High. It says they have not asked at my mouth. They're not trying to get the word to give them instructions on what to do. They're not trying to trust in the Most High, right? And this is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. It says, "I am Yahweh thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Egypt just represents the house of bondage. Okay, so when it says there's people that would rather trust in Egypt, they trust in the shadow of Egypt. When you're under something's shadow, it means you're covered by them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that don't want to seek the old paths, mm-hmm, because they think they're covered by Egypt. Well, it's cool. I got food stamps and I got housing, so I'm good.
Section 8, I'm straight.
Right? But what happens when that stops? What happens when the United States defaults and they can't print no more money, and they cut off all these programs? I got a few family members, blood family members, that are on what is it called? Social Security.
I thought that's been gone.
that no, it is decreasing.
Yeah.
Instead of, and they're trying to pass another bill to take off. I believe it's like, I think they said like 25%.
Yeah, it's going down the drain.
And it's already not enough. I know one of my family members that he can't even live by himself. He has to live with another family member because he can't pay the bills with that.
It's funny you said that, right? And this is on topic too. At my job, I work at a call center, right? And I talk to old people from time to time, and they mention to me how they're on fixed income, and I know they mean Social Security. So like you said, and the way that they be talking, bro, is they're so cheap, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just being realistic though. To kind of like show
fiscal ox.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just goes to show though, like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's times is hard. I done heard, I don't know how many times on the phone, I talked to so many people, they be like, man, you know, times is hard out here. I'm trying to make sure, you know what I'm saying, I ain't got to spend no extra money. And I always tell them, I feel where you coming from. I get it. You know, just leave it at that. I get you.
But so there's people, a lot of people, that trust in the shadow of Egypt. When you trust in the shadow of Egypt, anything that befalls Egypt or the land of your captivity, Babylon, if you're in the United States or wherever you're at, if you're trusting in the government, if you're trusting in the powers that be, you have to understand, like it says in Job 9:24, the whole earth is given into the hands of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
All these wicked people and this wicked system is on the decline. It's falling. So if you're covered by Egypt, when Egypt falls and you're covered by Egypt, it's going to fall on you.
And according to the scriptures, you know, the head of the household can either get the house blessed or the house cursed and destroyed. So if Egypt is your head, then, you know, follow suit. So
Calm. And actually, I don't even want to get off topic. I'm probably going to talk about that on the next slide. So the brother, Shawashai Mak, Shalom Mak, Shabbat Shalom, says, I feel ever since being new in this truth, I can tell that camps and Israelites are acting like Christians of the world. So I was talking to another brother about this, right? I believe that there's going to be a whole lot of people A whole lot of people that are gonna come out of a lot of these camps.
I don't know about a whole lot.
That are, I've already seen a good amount, like over the years. I know brothers from a lot of from some of the biggest ones. I'll just name some of the biggest ones, right? I know brothers that have came out of ancestors that have came out of IUIC, that have came out of Sakari, that have came out of GMS, House of Israel, all of a bunch of the bigger camps, more well-known camps. Okay, True Nation, a lot of them, and they did it. WFI, they did it because they didn't agree with the doctrines, and they knew they had to follow in Yahushua's example as opposed to doctrine of men. Mm-hmm. So I do feel you when you say acting like Christians, because most Christians don't want to put in the works necessary. Most Christians don't, or are not able to actually confront their leaders and say, well, what about this? Mm-hmm. Right? They're not able to get past the respect of men that they have. And I need that too.
I got a precept.
Go ahead.
Luke 12, verse 2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. More and more, everybody's true intentions, doctrine, reality, whatever you want to call it, right? Everything's starting to come like.
Con. It says when the money falls. Con. When the money falls, and that's why the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself is not evil. Mm-hmm. The word in Ecclesiastes, it says that money is a defense. Okay, wisdom's a defense and money's a defense. Wisdom gives you life, but if you use money correctly, it can be a defense for the times to come. It can be a defense to come out of her. It can be a defense to be prudent and prepare for the things that are coming. Right? The brother Trucky Boa said, well, my rib and I were talking about how wicked it seems that you have to pay some vamos. I think he meant vatos. You got to pay some vatos to hear the truth. Then, because some groups consider themselves a church, they can't be taxed by the government. So
hey, pay me $100, I counsel you out.
And that was one of the things, because a couple of these camps, and I won't say the names when it comes to that, because I've spoken on it before, but there was multiple camps that reached out to me and other brothers before, and we were sincerely thinking about, being affiliates and stuff like that. But then when it comes down to, all right, you just got to pay us this much a month, like what? No, so you ask us to be an affiliate of y'all, but then we got to pay y'all just to carry your name. Like, that made no sense to me. Mm-hmm. That made, I can understand when it comes to, I wouldn't say tithes, but when it comes to alms, I can understand that. But when you're telling someone a specific amount you got to pay in order to be affiliated with them, that's completely off. That's completely off. The brother said, Khan, use money to buy the truth. That's why it says, buy the truth and sell it not. Right? Okay, Khan, Salakia, he said camps. You got to pay some camps.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep, it's crazy. But it's just like Paul said, there's going to be many false Christs. A lot of these people, whether camp members or congregation members realize it or not, a lot of their elders are their false Christ, because they think that it's only through these specific camps or elders they're going to get salvation. And that's why certain camps will even tell you, if you're not with us, you're a Christian. If you're not with us, you're not in the truth.
You're a reprobate.
If you leave our camp, you're not going to make it. That's just, and some people can't see through that. I mean,
that's what blows my mind. It's one thing for them to say that stuff, but what blows me the most is the fact that people really can't see that.
Con.
Like, you can't be that slow.
Con. And that's like it says in Proverbs 20 and 12. Hearing ear and the seeing eye both come from the Most High. Yeah, and that's why people, brothers and sisters have reached out to me before, and they're like, "Oh, can I give you tithes, etc." And I'm like, first of all, I'm not a priest.
Right, so I don't know what you're talking about,
Priests, and second of all, back then when you look at the tithes and things of that nature, that's not something that we can, even these so-called priests can take, because priests back then had to prove their lineage for 3 generations. And I've never seen an Israelite that calls himself a priest be able to do that. Right. But another thing, I mean, alms is a different thing, right? Alms, if you feel like to help out somebody, that's a different story.
The Most High did say multiple times, you know what I'm saying, if you're going to give an offering in any type of way, it has to be a willful one. Like, you know, you willfully go out your way to do it. Nobody has to convince you to do it.
And that's why when people say, "Oh yeah, I can counsel you, but you know, I just got to charge you $50," right? It's because my time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable.
Who's to say that you even gonna speak truth?
So this is Tobit 12:9. It says, "For alms doth deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life." So alms can deliver you from death. Alms can purge away sins. But notice what it says here: those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. Some people have it on their spirit to be like, "Oh, you know what, brother, you teach, I'm gonna send you some money." But it don't matter if you're not striving to live righteously. What the only reason you're actually doing that is because you feel convicted in your spirit, like, damn, I've been doing this, or I haven't been doing this, and I know I'm going off. So you feel like, or a lot of people feel like, maybe if I just give this brother, I think this brother's righteous, let me give him some money. But that doesn't matter if you're not striving to follow the commandments of the Most High in the first place, right? The brother said, just like you said, Ak, don't be hasty to join a camp. However, it's hard for people coming into the truth to see the big picture of camps. I was there too. Praise Yah, we've been delivered.
Everybody been there, bro. I fell into it, bro.
Con. And it's like I told this brother, and I told many brothers and even a few sisters, the truth has become like a fad for many people. The truth, or Israelites being Israelites,
turned into a trend.
It turned into a trend, into a fad. It turned into high school. You got the jocks. Yep. You got the people that like to party and go clubbing. You got people that
want to be famous.
You got the people that want to be celebrities, right? And a lot of people buy into these things because they've never really fit in the world. So they tried to fit in the world, and now they're in the truth, or trying to be in the truth, and they feel like they got to fit in somewhere as well. And that's something I've always told people as well. Like, we're already a chosen nation of people. You don't have to join anything to make it to the kingdom. Galatians 5:13, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another.
Okay.
And that's, could you get Mark 10:44 real quick, Huck? Yeah. And that's something that that pushed me personally away from a lot of camps. That's something that really pushed me away, because there was certain times when I was younger in the truth, and I would reach out to brothers, I would reach out to elders, and they'll leave me on red. And I can understand, like, people are busy and things of that nature, right? But at the same time, if you can't reach out, how are you going to be the head or the chief of certain camps or congregations and not be striving to serve your people? You have everybody serving you.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
This is Mark chapter 10, verse 44. And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all.
So this is why men, like the head of a household, the leader of a household, you can tell he's the chief of his household if he's serving everybody in his house. And I've had this conversation or study with my daughters and my rib and my children a bunch of times, right? To where they all have their duties and their roles. Everybody has their own things that they got to do to support the household in general. But I'm serving them the most. They may serve me food and cook for me and things of that nature, but guess what? I gotta go work, and I was like, I remember a long time ago, I was like, okay, so I pay the water so y'all can wash your hands. You can take baths. Oh wait, when you take baths, who pays for the shampoo and the conditioner and the soap and the those sponges y'all use? The towels. Right? You know how you go to the restroom and you can flush the toilet? Who pays for that? Oh wait, and who pays for the toilet paper? Oh, okay. And then when you wash your hands afterwards, you get to use soap, right? Oh my god. And then you use mouthwash, and then you floss, and you get to brush your teeth. And oh, your toothbrush is kind of okay. You got to get new toothbrushes, right? And then you get to eat every day. For the most part, you get to eat 3 meals, right? Oh my god! You get to sometimes you get to choose what meal you want to make. Oh, that's interesting, man. I wish I had that luxury when I was a kid. Right? Didn't know what that was. Sometimes you got snacks in between meals. Oh, what? Where did that come from? What? Never had that. You got clothes. Oh, okay. So you get to choose an outfit. No, that doesn't match. So you're gonna put a different shirt with a different skirt. You get to choose a pair of shoes. Right? Oh, those shoes don't they don't match that dress you're wearing. So you put your other ones or your sandals. Oh, not those. The other sandals. Oh, okay. Right? When it comes down to it, the man is actually serving his household. And look, like the Warrior's Dream just said, a man is definitely giving the most because he is sacrificing everything for his family, possibly even his life to protect his family. True story, Khan. And that's why I believe it's in Ephesians 5 where it says that as Yahushua gave his life for the church, a man has to be willing to do the same for his wife and for his family. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's one of the biggest problems, not even just in households, like in families and things of that nature, but with camps. Because a lot of people don't realize if you're the chiefest. You want to read it one more time, Baba Kasha? And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. So if you want to be the top dog, you got to be serving everybody else. And that's why when Yahushua had one day left to live, he washed feet. He didn't have people. He wasn't like, all right, I'm going to be out of here. Y'all give me a massage. Y'all wash my feet. No, he washed feet. And he even washed the feet of the person who was going to betray him. Mm-hmm. It says, your example has helped my dad to become a better, godly man for his family. All praise to the Most High. All praise. All praise to the Most High. And I said it many times. There was a brother, or I don't know if he's a brother, but a man that reached out to me not too long ago through Instagram, and he said I was going off because I shouldn't be teaching about families. I remember him. You remember that? He just literally DM'd you a straight verse, or like maybe 1 or 2 verses, and then said he was going off for teaching about marriage and stuff. He said I was going off for teaching about marriage and about family roles and household roles because we're too late in this thing for that. But like one of the brothers said a minute ago, it's about like rebuilding the nation, repairing the breach. Repairing the breach. And I remember the brother Jomar said it a couple years ago, and I've said it many times as well on the lives. You repair a nation, or you bring a nation back to the Most High, one household at a time. It's impossible for us to just be like, all right, everybody, we're going to get in order. No, it's one household at a time. I can't teach this brother's rib. He can't teach my rib. I'm not going to go out and be like, hey, yeah, you need to get your rib in order and listen to me, and I'm going to teach everybody. No, it's one household at a time, and it always starts with the head of the household. You got to lead by example. Nobody wants to follow somebody who's not doing what they're talking about. So if you have a leader, whether it be of a congregation, a church, a camp, or a household, and let's say it's the man, and he's supposed to be the head, but he's not leading by living out his role, right? Then how is he gonna teach the woman to do the same or the child to do the same? They're gonna look at him like the woman's gonna be like, okay, you're telling me to live out my roles, but in the back of her mind, she's like, well, you're not living out yours. She impudent, right? She's impudent. She's gonna be full of shame. A woman that that
maintains
her husband shall be full of shame. And it trickles all the way down to the children. And that's another thing that me and that brother Yashamar were talking about in San Antonio. Downtown, they got a bunch of water fountains and stuff, right? And I was telling him, we were talking about in the past, before the truth, or when we both came into the truth, we were both at one point in the situation where our rib wasn't um she wasn't let's just say she wasn't doing the duties or acting according to how she should be. But we realized through understanding and through the revealing of the Most High that it was actually because of us at one point in time.
Yep.
And I was telling them, it's like that fountain, look, we're the top one, and everything, if that water, it comes down from the top and it trickles down to the next level and the next level. So if we're acting out of order, we're not doing the things we're supposed to do, it's going to trickle down to the rib, to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to be acting out of order, and then we're mad over here, well, you ain't blah 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 blah. But in reality, it's like, bruh, you're the one that's out of order, and it's just coming down to me because I'm under you. And then it goes down to the children too. So it's a beautiful thing that you say that, that I was able to help your father. That's all through the spirit of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's crazy. How can you build a nation without building the family? Exactly.
You can't even make it, bro, without walking in your purpose.
And look at it this way, okay? Society in general is a whole bunch of families. And I'll prove it to you with one example. Okay? If there was a huge park, some of y'all may remember around Christmas time, there was a big old 3-story what is it called? Christmas tree that I had posted on my story. Man, I wanted to burn that mug down. I saw it, I was like, oh, I burned that down. Just accidentally, right? But the point is,
drop a torch.
right? How come if in Jeremiah it says that that's an abomination? How come that's acceptable in society where they could put up a 3-story tall Christmas tree? Because the majority of the families in the community accept that. So the whole community, the whole city, the whole town, the whole state, the whole country is just a reflection of all the families in general. So once you start building up one family at a time, it's going to start building up the nation as a whole. You can't do it in the opposite order. You want to read that out? Close to the scripture.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 4 through 5. One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of Yahweh?
Come. And that's something I talked to many brothers about before. A lot of people, and I can speak from experience. A lot of people, brothers, get caught up in camps or congregations to the point where
They're running their house.
they're that too, that happens too, but to the point where they're putting more time, more energy, more effort into their camp or their congregation than they are into their own house. Whether it be, I'm going to go out and teach with the brothers, and I'm going to go study with these brothers, and I'm going to go hold the camera for these brothers, and I'm going to go read for these brothers. And then their house suffers because of it, because they're out here doing this for their congregation more so than they are for their own family, their own house. And there's been multiple brothers that have hit me up about this. Well, my house is this, and my house is struggling, or my family is really, and that's the opposite order. This says you have to be able to rule your own house. You have to have your children in subjection. If you can't rule your own house, how are you going to take care of the church of the Most High?
Sure.
It makes no sense. It's backwards. So that would be like the brother here starts his own small business, and his small business is going horribly, and he's not making no money. He's losing money he puts into it. Is someone going to go let him start a corporation or run a corporation?
Mm-mm.
That doesn't make sense. So it's the same thing in the truth. You got to get your house in order. And there, you'd be surprised as to how many higher level, and I say that in quotations, higher level people don't have their houses in order.
Renowned people.
Right? Renowned of men, at least.
Exactly.
That don't have their house in order, but they're trying to take care of the church of the Most High. And the Most High in the end is going to say, well, what did you do with the household that I gave you?
Nothing.
Right?
But I prophesied in your name.
Con. Warrior's Dream said, we're destroyed because our households have been destroyed. Your lesson on single parent households stated the facts that speak to that. Con.
When you drop the statistics in there, bro, I think it made a very valid point.
Con. And that's why in the next lesson that I do, I think I'm gonna probably get my rib on it too, because it's gonna be talking about polygamy as well. But when you really look at other cultures in so-called African, even Chinese and other cultures, a lot of them, the majority of them, when they get divorced and they split, a lot of them, the children go to the man.
As it should.
Because without a man in the household of children, there's no order. A man should bring grounding to the household and to the children and discipline and order. Right? So our households are destroyed in single parent households, especially because it's only women running their household. And they can't provide the discipline and the order and the instruction that a man can. And of course that comes with having a complete household, a woman and a man in the truth though. Here in spiritual Babylon are ran by women, Eves of the family. Khan, most definitely. Khan.
Queendom.
Khan. Proverbs 5:15. Yep. And that's the thing with Babylon. Everything's backwards. Everything is backwards. You want to read that out?
Khan. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well.
So when I say everything's backwards, and like the brother said here just a second ago, you have a lot of people that aren't giving their own family waters from their own well. And what I mean by that is, like he said, you got some camps that are running other brothers' households.
That's literally what it is.
You got women that are learning not from their husband, but from their husband's master. Elder,
their husband's master,
their husband's lord.
I'm gonna just call it what it is.
Their husband's lord, and I mean, whoever they. It sounds horrible, but they're actually allowing their woman or their women or their children to drink from someone else's well or cistern.
Damn shame.
So that's completely backwards. And when it comes to your household, if you're a man, so a quote unquote man, you should not be doing that. And that's why I've told so many sisters this, because they say, a lot of sisters will ask, okay, well, when courting or proving, what's one thing I should be looking for? obviously the man has to be able to provide, right? Physically, financially, and all of these things. But one thing I always tell sisters is, if he can't teach you, right, ask him. Anytime you have a question, go to him. Ask him and see if he can answer it. And I'm not saying he's got to be able to answer 100% every single thing, right? But this is a red flag right here. You're a sister and you go to a brother and he's courting you, and you ask a question, and he sends you a video of his camp elder.
Run away,
right? Or he tells you to reach out to this brother.
Oh my gosh.
That is one of the biggest red flags right there, right? So if he doesn't know, he should be able to teach you, right? Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, if he doesn't know, this is what he should do. Okay, you know what? I'm not 100% on that topic, but I'm going to get back to you. And he's going to study to show himself approved, right? And then he's going to be like in Sirach, where it says that he got knowledge not just for himself, but for all those that seek learning, right? So, like the brother just said, look, Salakia, gain the wisdom and knowledge for you and yours.
Yeah.
So now let's going along with, because the brother Truckee said Proverbs 5:15, really good verse. It says, drink waters out of thine own cistern and running waters out of thine own well. Let's put it this way, because our people need physical examples.
Yep.
If I'm courting a sister and she's here on my property and there's no water, how bad would it look if I was like, all right, well, go to the neighbor, he's got water?
She's gonna be like, well, you're supposed to be providing for me, so why can't I have water way over here?
It's dangerous for me to send the female I'm supposed to be providing for to go get water from someone else. Okay? I should go and get the water. It's the same thing with the living waters. If I don't have the information or the wisdom on a certain topic, that's not as big of an issue as me just saying, okay, go get it from someone else. Because I'm literally showing you that I'm not a good husband. I wouldn't be a good husband. Because that's another thing I tell people, brothers and sisters, all the time. They think, a lot of brothers and sisters think that when courting, oh yeah, it's a red flag, but if we're married, it'll be better. When you get married, everything is amplified. Everything it's worse. So if there's a problem when you're courting, when you get married, 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you, it's going to be a worse problem. You got to deal with it beforehand.
See how she react to it too.
And that's why when it comes to proving people, when to trying the spirits, testing the spirits, you literally have to test people out and see how they handle certain situations. And even when you're married, there's going to be, because when you're courting, you can't go through every situation when you're courting. Right? Once you're married, there's still going to be things that you're going to see and you're going to be proving. Like, okay, when this situation arises, how do they handle it? If this was to happen, how are they going to handle it? Right? But that's going into another topic. But Khan, the brother said, gain the wisdom and knowledge for you and yours.
Pursuing the old path.
For you and yours. And that's why Paul said, you want to get 1 Corinthians 14:35 real quick?
Yep.
That's why I love this verse, because it's so simple. It's simple if you just follow the precepts. If the Bible says this is good, then go with this is good. If the Bible says this is bad, then just realize and accept that this is bad.
14:35. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church.
Khan. So a woman's supposed to learn at home. And that goes back to the old paths. Because even when you go into Deuteronomy 28, okay, and it says that women wouldn't adventure to set their foot upon the ground. Why? Because they were in their house the majority of the time. Mm-hmm. They were building up their house. They were teaching their children. They were keeping their house in order. They were being helpmeets to their husbands. This isn't anything new. All the way back in Deuteronomy, in the Torah, it was talking about this. All the way in Paul's time, he's saying the same thing. Because how's it going to look if my rib is going to this brother to ask questions? That's like a spiritual form of fornication.
Basically.
She's opening up her mind or her quiver, as the scriptures say, to somebody else, which is horrible. But anyways, I'm going to go back to Isaiah chapter 30. Actually, if you want to read verse 1 through 3.
Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
So when you trust in Egypt, which is the house of bondage, your captivity, whatever land of captivity you're in, it says that's going to be your shame. You know how many people are going to be ashamed when they've heard the truth and later on all hell breaks loose and they didn't follow it?
A wave to a drought.
Or when people have heard, stop wasting your money on frivolous, vain things and put it towards something that's going to profit you in the long run or in the days to come, and they don't do it, and then they see in that day like, damn, I should have listened. It's going to be their shame. It says, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion. Everybody who trusts in the shadow of this society is going to lead to confusion. And confusion is not of the Most High.
It's not at all. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, I think verse
33, I believe.
33.
I'll get it real quick. It's 1 Corinthians. I'm actually going to start on 32, yeah. 1 Corinthians 14:32, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So there's a lot of people prophesying right now. A lot of people. Some may be partially right. Some may be partially right about certain things, wrong about something else. But the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Those that are truly prophesying are subject to the prophets, meaning Isaiah was a prophet. When he said that you shouldn't trust in Egypt, those that are truly prophesying right now, that are prophets, are subject to the prophet. They're going to listen and say, okay, I shouldn't be trusting in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Jeremiah says, hey, seek the old paths, it's going to give rest to your soul.
Flee out of the midst.
Flee out of the midst of Babylon. It says the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. They're going to see, okay, the prophets of old said this, so I should probably do that. They were inspired by the Most High. Let me take the steps towards doing that. Then verse 33, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace. How do you get that peace or that rest for your soul? Again, the old paths, pursuing the old paths, as in all the churches of the saints, right? And then it goes right into what we had read about. If you're going to learn from anybody, learn from who? From your husband at home, right? So all of these things go hand in hand. And verse 3 of Isaiah 30, where it says, if you trust in the shadow of Egypt, it's going to lead to your confusion. And this is what a lot of people are doing unknowingly, by just wasting their time on social media, wasting their time bullshitting, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
Bullshitting. And I know a lot of people don't like when I say certain words like that, but it's okay. There's no other way I could put it.
Mm-hmm.
If you spend the majority of your time working, this is another thing that I've talked to multiple sisters about lately, right? What's more valuable, working and making money to provide for yourself, or finding a man of the Most High that will provide for you? According to the word, what's more profitable?
According to the word, what's more profitable is finding that man that's going to do it for you.
Now, according to the world, according to Egypt,
yeah, you got to be independent. Get your own.
You got to get your bag, right? You gotta be a strong, independent woman.
That's sad, bro.
And that is sad, but guess what? It goes back to trusting in Egypt, the land of your captivity, because mentally you're in that mindset. And that's another thing that's I'm definitely gonna bring out during the lesson on polygamy, because when you really think about it, it's just Western versus Eastern.
That's really all it is.
Because you've learned, your mind is so set on Western. And I'm not just talking about polygamy. I'm talking about seeking the old paths. I'm talking about coming out of the midst of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we're talking about right now, hasting to flee from these times. That's the reason people don't do it. The majority of the time is because they're in a Western mindset. And a Western mindset As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It's going to lead to your spirit being in a westernized spirit as well. And you're not going to move. You're going to be comfortable. You're not going to want to work for things. You're not going to want to seek the old paths.
You ain't going to want to do nothing. You're going to have effeminate men and masculine women. Like that movie that came out called The Woman King. Like, it ain't by coincidence.
I still haven't seen that.
I'm not watching it. I told my rib we not watching it. She said her mom. It's funny. My rib, her mom is so wicked, bro. But she told me her mom told her that her and her dad went to go watch it the other day, and she was the one that offered the idea of going to watch it. I was like, that's very interesting. That's all I said was that's very interesting.
You want to read this real quick?
This is Sirach chapter 33, verse 27. Send him to labor that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil.
So one of the biggest problems is people just don't want to put in the work that it takes to flee from the midst of Babylon. They don't want to put in the work that it takes to seek the old paths. They don't want to haste to flee from these times. But right now is the perfect time to do so if you haven't already, physically and spiritually. And there's never going to be a perfect time to do anything.
I'm saying it again, bro.
There's never going to be a perfect time to do anything.
Man, you said it right there, though. You said it.
The perfect time to do it is if you're still breathing and you know it's the right thing to do according to the word. That's the perfect time. But you're waiting for a sign. It's like Yahushua said. He said that a wicked generation seeks a sign. I don't know how many times I've heard sisters. Now, I don't even think I've heard any brothers say this before. But I've heard many sisters say, well, I just need a sign of what I should do. The word says you're supposed to do this.
So there go your sign.
So that should be your sign. If the Most High gave you eyes to physically see that in his word in the Bible it says, do this. You need more of a sign than that. That's crazy. That's crazy. The brother said I can't watch that either.
I'm telling you, bro, I'm not even going. Psalm 101 and 3. I would say no wicked thing before my eyes.
Con.
I might even I don't know what it's gonna portray on there. I don't want no type of spirits or nothing trying to, penetrate my temple, because the light of the body is the eye. So
Con. And that's why I've had to unfollow a lot of people in the past, because they post all type of wicked stuff and they don't even realize that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna read this one more time and then we'll probably close it out. This is 2nd Ezra 14 and verse 15. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee. Everything that's weighing you down. Actually, if you can get 2nd Ezra 16:74, we'll finish with that. Right, it says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. The times we're living in right now, everything that the majority of society is doing, you need to flee from that hastily. The majority of society is bullshitting, is on social media all the time, is distracting themselves with video games and partying and drinking and smoking weed and doing all these other things, committing fornication,
adultery,
the people that
bestiality,
all types of wickedness. The majority of people that are part of quote unquote Christianity, right? That's the most popular religion in the world. They're doing wickedly as well. You need a haste to flee from all of these things. Everybody who's living this easy life that depends on Egypt, you need a haste to flee from these things.
Look for a fresh start, man. Said some heavy stuff, dog.
Our people were given literal signs since Exodus, and we still made the golden calf to worship. That's our people in a nutshell.
A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh the sign.
Right after the Most High delivered us from Egypt. Me and my Ribba have talked about that so many times, because we've known people that have told us, right? Because In the past, I've interpreted dreams for multiple people and stuff like that. And sometimes it's crazy that people, it's like you said with Luke 12:2, the Most High reveals everything. I've been blessed to be in a position of seeing other people's walks to where the Most High, maybe he hasn't given me as many signs as he's given other people, but through other people having signs and them coming to me and, well, what do you think this dream meant? And I'm like, well, look at this scripture, this scripture, this scripture. It's obviously a sign. And they're like, man, that's crazy. It is a sign. And then they still go off.
Man.
So I totally agree with that. And me and my ribs talk about that exactly. He delivers them from Egypt. He gives all these plagues, right? He shows that he is the power of them. Then he has Moses split the sea. He has the sea close on these people that are coming after them. All these Egyptian, basically the Egyptian army coming after them, closes it on them. And then they go and do what? They go and complain. They were saying, "Oh, he brought us out of Egypt just for us to die of starvation.
Take us back where they had figs.
At least, right? At least we wouldn't have died of starvation in captivity."
Oh man!
And then Moses goes up to get the commandments that are written from the finger of the Most High.
Oh man!
And then what do? They make a golden calf to worship.
They threw a whole party down there.
But you know what? That's still what a lot of people do, because they'll learn of the truth, and then they'll still. A lot of people, their phone is their golden calf. Their cell phone is their golden calf. Social media is their golden calf. A woman or a man is their golden calf, because they'll go against the Most High in order to please or to be with a man or a woman. So that's their golden calf. Even after the Most High gave them signs. Mm-hmm. Even after the Most High awakened them to the truth. So I completely agree with you, Ak. The brother put Colossians 3:2. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Calm. And look at it this way. Because some people will take this and say, they'll just take it and run with it and be like, everything's spiritual and we don't really need to do nothing nowadays because the world is going to end, and they'll allow it to lead them to idleness. Yeah. Right? And this is Sirach 33:27. Do you want to read it real quick, Ak?
Send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil.
So we have to understand, we definitely need to set our affection on things above. And as the scriptures say, when you see these things come to pass, you should be looking up. You should lift your head up. Doesn't mean literally. It can mean literally. You look up to the Most High. When you look at the clouds and you're in nature and things of that nature, you can really feel the presence of the Most High. Like when it says, "Be still and know that I am God."
Especially when the clouds not in the way.
Con. And or it's like when I went to San Antonio, I had gone to pick up a vehicle and it has a sunroof, and I was just looking out and I was looking at the stars and I was just like, damn, like the Most High really did that. Like you can see him in his creation, right?
If you really pay attention.
If you really pay attention and you still yourself, still your mind. But at the same time, setting your affections on things above, this word came from above. Everything that's in this word that was inspired by Yahweh, it came from above. So by us setting our affections on following the word, we actually are setting our affections on things above, right? And that means, as a man, providing for your household, as a man, girding up your loins and being a man, as a woman, taking care of your household, your man, your family, your children, right? And when it comes to sending people to labor, me as a man, like today and yesterday, I had my daughters doing something, I had my son doing something outside. They were helping with all types of stuff outside, and my rib, obviously, she has a bunch of stuff to do in here. We have a newborn. We all have things to do. Yep. Why? Because if you're idle, it teaches much evil. And a lot of times when you're in the truth, it doesn't even have to be like okay, I'm sinning. A lot of times, like I've said many times before, okay, I can't eat pork. Okay, I got to keep Sabbath. I got to be respectful, forgiving, all these types of things. But just being lazy, being slothful is completely against the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Being slothful, especially in the times we're in, is completely against the scriptures.
Last time I checked the parable of the talents, he said, "Thou wicked and slothful servant." So,
Con. And another thing, like in the video I made earlier today on the Instagram, where I basically plugged this live, um, a lot of people are wasting the little bit of time that they got. And when I say wasting, it's being slothful.
yep.
It's not hasting to flee from these times. And we're all on different paths. Like the straight gate, if y'all ever heard the brother Joel Kim Yasharala and Jomar, straight gate, Matthew 7:13 and 14. The straight gate is basically the kingdom's path. Okay? We're all on different parts of the kingdom's path. Some people are a little bit behind. Some people are a little bit ahead. But guess what? We're all going to get the penny at the end of the day, most high willing.
That's what we aiming for.
That's what we're all shooting for. Okay? So we're on different parts of the path. Some people still haven't even been baptized for remission of sins. So you're carrying around all your past sins, and that can weigh you down, which we're about to finish with right now in 2nd Ezra 16. But so if you haven't been baptized for remission of sins, I highly exhort you to do so. If you have, and you're not truly walking in newness of life, and you're still doing all these things that you were doing before you got baptized, I highly exhort you to start walking in newness of life. Right?
Like Proverbs 4 and 13, it says, "Take fast hold of instruction. Haste to flee. Haste to move."
If you are walking in newness of life, you're already putting away dead works. You already been through the water baptism, you're going through the fire baptism, and you keep on moving. If there's more levels to this, there's still more. None of us have achieved or attained the kingdom yet. So we can all always do better, okay? So when it comes to things like this, I'm not going to tell you, hey man, you should come out the city and you should start looking into husbandry and you should try to get your own land and you should do all this if you still haven't been baptized. If you're still, all you do is watch porn. I know a lot of brothers that sadly, that's the majority of their life.
Ain't gonna save you none at all if
you're still smoking weed.
Still messing with harlots and strippers.
Con, you're still at the club every night.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to put away the dead works, right? And that's why, like Paul has said, moving on to perfection.
Let us lay aside.
Okay, we have to lay aside a lot of different things in order to do that. But the times that we're in right now, in my opinion or understanding, that's one of my biggest motivators. Is I look at it this way: how are any of these things going to profit you?
It's like what Yahweh Shai said, right? Like was it Matthew 19:16 where he said, "Why callest thou me good?" Right? He told him what he needed to do to inherit eternal life. He said, "All right, I've done this. What else am I lacking?" Yahweh Shai told him, "Sell everything you got, give to the poor, and follow me." But people overlook what he really meant when he said that, right? At that time, he was telling him, the rich man, obviously, yeah, sell everything you got. Give up your current lifestyle. It's the same with us. You know what I'm saying? You ain't necessarily got to be rich for that to apply to you. It means give up your life as you know it and seek for the new life. That's literally what it means.
Con, I'm gonna read it real quick. Matthew 19:16, and behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahweh. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. So the first thing he said was keep the commandments. Mm-hmm. A lot of people still have problems with keeping the commandments. Okay? So that's the first thing he said to do, though. And that's why, in Acts 2 and 38, it says, repent and be baptized.
You can't start getting to the next part until you start trying to keep them.
So there's certain people that will say just get baptized no matter what.
No.
That's not me though. I will tell you. I'm gonna ask you. Okay, well, what are you doing? Because in Romans 6, it says you have to start walking in newness of life. And like, for example, when I would teach jujitsu, let's say someone comes in and they've been studying or they've been practicing for a week and they want to do a tournament. I'm going to tell them, no, you're not going to do a tournament. You don't have enough skills to do it. I'm going to be setting you up for failure. And what would happen was there would be some people that still want to do it anyways, and then they get their arm broke.
Yeah.
And now guess what? You know how far set back you are? You gotta heal for 3 months. And then most of the time when people get hurt that soon into it, that's it. They're not gonna come back.
If you add them in, I don't want to be a part of it. You find somebody else.
So there's certain things like we've said before. There's weightier matters of the law, like Yahushua said. There's certain things I highly recommend people to get in order before being baptized, because you can't just, in order to walk in newness of life, right? You have to start putting away some of these things already, right? But anyways, it says keep the commandments. He saith unto him, which Yahushua said, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The young man saith unto him, all these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? So there are people like this. Well, I've been keeping the commandments. I kept Sabbath. I honor my parents, right? I don't commit adultery. 19 or 20, Salakia. Or 21, Salakia. Yahushua said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. So he said, give up what you, and it'll make it clear in the next verse, give up what you hold on to more than following me. And Yahushua is the word, right? There's certain things that people won't give up. There's certain things that people won't give up in order to follow the word completely. They'll start keeping the commandments, right? But they're not willing to give up whatever it is that they hold on to dearly. For this man, it was money, right? He said in the next verse, but when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions.
Love their life too much.
This is what happens to a lot of people. They start keeping the commandments. Hey, I've been keeping Sabbath. Check it out. I got fringes on. But then guess what? They're not willing to give up something in order to follow the word completely. And I know for me, like that, for me personally, that was weed at first. I had to give up weed.
It was entrepreneurship for me, bro. It wasn't even weed was definitely one of them, but it was like weed plus the stuff that I had worked so hard for at the time, or at least I felt like, I worked so hard for. So yeah.
Mine was weed at first, and then I gave it up cold turkey, and then that wasn't no thing. And then it was MMA. Right? And most
that was the last thing you gave up, wasn't
it? And that actually, I mean, I had given it up. It's just an opportunity was placed in front of me. It was
that, like, okay,
yeah. But that's what happens to a lot of people. They're not willing to give up. And for some people, it could be a job. I know that there's brothers in the truth that try to keep the commandments, but they're tattoo artists. Right? How are you going to break the commandments? Because it says in Leviticus 19, you're not supposed to print marks upon your skin. You're not supposed to cut into your flesh. That's what tattoos are. Right? And another thing is, it's like the brother FY has said, right? He has said that he knows brothers that made money from selling drugs, from doing tattoos, from doing all types of wickedness. And then they try to bring it into the truth. And okay, well, I'm going to start a homestead. Or I'm going to, that money is like Judas's money.
That's why Yahushua said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto Yahweh what is Yahweh's.
You got to get rid. You can't bring that with you. You know what I'm saying? You can't. That's like if I was selling drugs, working with the cartel, and then I get $1 million, and then I'm like,
I'm out.
all right, I'm out. I'm gonna go follow the truth now, and I got all this blood money.
Nah, you got blood in your hands still, buddy.
I'm bringing the blood with me, right? That would be because what did they do with the money from Judas? Did they use it? Even the field afterwards, what did they call it? Let me get it real quick. What did the brother say? Oh, you want to read that real quick, Baba Shah?
James 4:4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with Yahweh? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of Yahweh. I just sent that to somebody the other day.
Calm. So when you're a friend with the world, right, and you try to bring that friendship into the truth, you're actually becoming an enemy of the Most High. Right? You're an enemy of the Most High, and a lot of people try to do that, whether it be with money, whether it be with a job. I've known sisters in that are trying to be in the truth that are bartenders. You know how many spirits
Bartenders, bro?
You're literally, they're called spirits, wine and spirits.
My gosh, dog.
And you're over here, and here's another thing. How many dudes you think are hitting up a bartending female?
Come on, bro. That's what they're going there for.
So, and then you're getting money from all these dudes.
You know they trying to flirt with you, touch on you.
And if you want to tip, what do? You got to flirt back.
Oh, you got to do a little something, show a little skin, baby.
So, that's just one example, but there's people that sell weed. There's people that do tattoos. There's people, I've even known.
Porn stars. I'm going to be real. It's prostitutes, you name it.
All types of stuff. Because there's some people that teach prostitution is okay.
Getting married to a prostitute is okay, apparently.
Khan. Why is weed bad?
It's actually not.
Weed is not bad. So if you want to get Sirach 38:4 real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a couple scriptures really quick. Weed itself is not bad. Right? Now I'm going to get Genesis 1:29.
This is Sirach chapter 38, verse 4. Yahweh hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them.
So the Most High made medicines out of the earth. This is Genesis 1:29. And Yahweh said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed. Don't they call weed herb? Mm-hmm. In Spanish, they call it hierba. It's herb. That's the same thing. It says, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree. Don't they say, let's smoke some trees?
Bro, that's literally what me and my cousin used to call it.
And every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. You know, when you get that weed that wasn't that good and it was full of seeds?
Uh-huh.
To you it shall be for meat. You don't smoke meat. You don't roll up a blunt of meat, of lamb or of chicken.
And spark it up.
You eat it, right? So weed itself is not bad. Smoking weed is bad. Anytime you smoke anything, it's hurting your lungs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Especially what you're smoking the eye of, too.
The paper makes a difference, too. But
even if it's a bone.
But going back to weed itself is not bad if it has to have what? It has to have seeds.
Mm-hmm.
How much weed has seeds nowadays?
Bro, I'll be real with y'all. I've just hit a year of not smoking weed since I first came into the truth. And when I was smoking weed, it was so hard to find stuff that had seeds in it. You don't find natural weed no more, bro. All that stuff is GMO. I had did my research on it, bro. That's what they do. They lab grow weed. And they spray chemicals and stuff to make you feel like you tripping schizophrenic and stuff.
And that's the thing. I remember when I was in high school, and we lived down in the valley in South Texas. So the majority of the weed that's all Reggie, that's not hydro, it comes from across the border, right? And I remember there was this dude named Shredder that he was probably like in his 50s, and he was real cool with me. And he would tell me, he would be like, yeah, because he knew the people he was getting it from across the border. He was like, yeah, man, this stuff is really good. It's got 9% THC. It's got 10% THC. Nowadays, you know how much THC this weed has because it's genetically modified?
Bro, they'll put damn near 50% THC in them straight chemical.
Con. And that's why people are going schizo and they're seeing stuff.
Bro, I kid you not, I smoked some stuff one time before I came into the truth, right? And I'm not even joking, bro. When I smelled it, it didn't smell like normal weed. It smelled like it was some GMO stuff. I still smoked it. Stuff had me sitting there looking at the wall, bro, for like 2-3 hours straight. I'm not even joking.
Con. And so let me read this real quick. This is Revelation 18:23. And this is still Revelation 18, which we read earlier, verse 2 through 4, which is talking about Babylon and Babylon's fall. And it says, "Come out of her, my people. Everybody's drank of the wine of her fornication." Right? And what does wine do? It gets you drunk.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you not sober.
Yeah, it makes your senses lack and slow.
And that's exactly what weed does. So this is the same chapter. This is verse 23. "And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee," in Babylon, "and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee." Now, pay attention to this part. "For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." Okay, by the sorceries were all nations deceived. Talking about Babylon. That word for sorceries in Greek, which is what the New Testament was originally written in, sorceries is pharmakia. Pharmakia is pharmaceuticals. When you look at the different definitions in the Greek, it says sorcery, administering of drugs, poisoning, pharmacy, witchcraft, medication, okay? Sorcery, pharmakia is pharmaceuticals. Like the brother just said, and like the brother Shawashai Mock, Warrior Dream said, the majority of this is GMO, it's genetically modified. That's why it has no seeds.
Literally.
By law, according to Genesis, it's supposed to have seeds. Any herb is supposed to have seeds. That's why when we go to the store and we try and buy, man, everyone in my family loves watermelon, except for my ribs. You gotta have some damn powder on it.
I always put some thing, man. I don't get it, man. My rib fell in love with that pineapple with the stuff on it, bro.
I don't even like it.
I don't get it.
Anyways, the Most High made creation perfect. You don't gotta put no.
You ain't gotta do all that.
But anyways, the point is, we go and we try to get watermelon, and the majority of the time, there's no seeds in it. Like, oh man, but there's no seed. Or grapes. It's so hard to find seeded grapes.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I ate no grapes just because of that.
The reason why is because it's not natural. How are you gonna grow a fruit when it has no seeds in it? Where does it come from? It's the same thing with this weed.
Laboratory.
It comes from a lab. Exactly. So the same thing with weed. Okay, if you're using weed as medicine, like it said in Sirach 38:4, the Most High makes medicines out of the earth. If you're using it for medicine, weed is actually something that can help a lot of people, which is why if you actually look into science, every human has an endocannabinoid system. Mm-hmm. They have a system that is built to handle cannabinoids. My rib, when she breastfeeds our baby, it has a little bit of cannabinoids in it. And you see the baby when she's 4 and she's like, oh, she looks drunk. Right? But when you're smoking weed, it's defiling your temple. 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17 says, if you defile your temple, the Most High will destroy you.
Yes, he will.
Okay, I know there's a lot of people that still smoke weed and they're quote unquote in the truth. That's something you have to put down.
That's a must.
You have to. The brother said I swallowed all kinds of seeds when I was young with watermelon. Con, I remember that all the time.
That was the best time. That was the best way to eat them, bro. I mean, they are edible. So.
And people be telling you, right? Oh, watermelon's gonna grow in your stomach. And just, we were stupid back then. Sometimes we'll believe them, right?
Black seeds,
right? The powder on the fruit, I'm dying. Con, tahine is the main one, but there's all types of different
can't do it, man.
powder. I don't need that, bro. I don't need that. See, from my understanding, is good. I use that for my injuries from MMA. So kind of CBD, but that's different because it doesn't have THC.
And if you can use it like oil and stuff.
Con. And with my grandma, I remember I would get her weed sometimes when she was still living. She would put it in alcohol because she had arthritis and she had all types of different illnesses, bone joints and stuff. And she would put it on, and man, it would help her a lot. So when you're using it as intended to be, as medicine, right? That's not a problem. But the problem comes in when you're smoking it, number one, or when you're eating it just to get high off of it, right? And I remember one time this dude that I don't know if he's sincerely trying to follow the truth still or not. Most likely he is. I remember one time he made brownies, and man, my back was so stiff because I think for like 6 days a week. And he was like, "Man, barely has anything in it." Blah blah. I took one little nibble, bro, and that man, it got me high, bro. I was pissed off, and I told you, I was like, "Hey, bro, I was pissed off, bro."
Hey, bro.
That I took one little nibble just to see if it would help my back, and it got me high, and he didn't even know what to say, right?
Man, he tricked you.
Khan said it would grow out of me. Yeah, the tajin, my ex put that on oranges, shaking my head. Bro, man, the orange is perfect with that.
Bro, y'all are tripping, man. Anybody who likes that stuff, y'all are like,
Khan Salaki, it logged us out real quick. But Khan, brother said I'm eating a lot of lemons and swallowing a lot of seeds from it nowadays. And actually, the seeds are actually beneficial to you too. So, Khan, all praise to the Most High. Khan, but let's read. Hopefully that answered your question, sister. It's not bad in itself. All right, we're gonna finish with 2nd Ezra 16:74 on down. This is me and my ribs' favorite precepts for the times we're in. Actually, we'll finish with Luke 21:36 after this.
This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 74 on down. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith Yahweh, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same.
So hear, my beloved. Who is Yahweh's beloved? It's those who love him, because he loves those who love him. How do you love him? Keeping his commandments. He said the days of trouble are at hand.
Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide.
So don't be afraid and don't doubt, because like it says in Hebrews 11, without faith it's impossible to please him.
And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
So who is he going to guide? Everybody?
Nah.
Anyone who has the blood of Israel. Anyone who just believes in Christ.
Negative.
It says anybody who keeps his commandments and precepts. I remember a while back, and again, I won't say the name, but I know a lot of y'all know who I'm talking about. When somebody got caught in the club with half-naked women,
oh man,
and dollar bills all over the floor, and people smoking weed, and the man said, "Show me in that law, show me in the Torah, or shut the fuck up." And it's like, bruh, I can show you 20 precepts right now, but it doesn't matter because they're precepts. We don't got to follow the rest of it. It's just about the law.
Oh, okay.
Right? But right here it says the Most High is going to guide people through Jacob's trouble. Who is he going to guide through Jacob's trouble? Those who keep the laws and the precepts. So last time I checked, when it says seek the old paths, guess what? That's a precept.
Yep.
When it says come out of her, there's multiple precepts. When it says haste to flee from these times, precepts. We got to follow these in order to be guided and protected by the Most High. And then, if you want to read that next verse, I think it's 76. One more time, Baruch Shah.
And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
How can your sins weigh you down? One is by not being baptized.
That's the main one.
Because if you don't get remission of sins, it doesn't matter how many good works you could do. I tell people this all the time. If how old were you when you got baptized?
Man, I was 21.
21. So you think you can do enough works to make up for those 21 years?
No, sir. Not even close, bro.
None of us can. That's why Yahushua had to come in the first place. Right? You got brothers that get baptized at 21.
That's
25.
why I felt like I needed it to begin with, bro, because I already knew how much time went by where I was like literally in just filth and sin.
Con. And that's what the majority of people, a lot of brothers and sisters, they'll do something. And then because they did something, they're like, damn, I know I need remission of sins.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens to a lot of people. That can be a terrible thing in righteousness. Right? Yeah. But the point is, you can't let your sins weigh you down or lift themselves up. Because the only person you should be lifting up is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So when you're lifting up your sins, you're literally saying, okay, well, this sin that I can't quit, that is my God. Go ahead.
Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through.
So woe, danger, death, destruction is going to be to those that are covered with their sins and iniquities. Again, it's symbolically referencing baptism because you still have all these old sins if you don't get remission of sins. Right? Go ahead.
It is left undressed and is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
So just like if you have a field that's covered with thorns, if you burn that up, it's just gonna that whole thing's gonna light up.
Man.
If you're covered with your sins and iniquities, guess what's gonna happen? Same thing.
Yes, sir. That's physical.
Same thing. So the brother said, I heard it all. So being in this truth, me being newcomer, I gotta be baptized in the water. I'm just asking because I thought it was baptism of the fire. And I'm just asking my brother, I have no elder to do so with water. Um, I've done many lessons on this, and let's put it this way, okay? Because yes, you're baptized in fire, but also in water, right? Like it says in Matthew 3.
Unless a man be born of water and spirit.
It also says you have to be born of water and spirit in John 3. So the fire, and I just told another brother this, let's see, Wednesday, I believe. I went and studied with him because he was asking about being baptized. And he was like, so the fire, you know, what does that mean then if like water and fire? A lot of people start going through the fire before being water baptized. Because you're being tempted and you gotta fight off these temptations. That's fire. But after you get baptized, it's like you have a target on your back.
Oh man, real quick.
Because the majority of people, like we've talked about, are like witches. They don't want to get in water.
Man, you throw that water on them, man, you get the melt.
They think they're gonna melt or something, right?
Yeah.
But what it really is just like in the days of old, there was people that denied the water baptism, right? And if you message me on Instagram, and I'll send you a couple lessons that I've done. In order to be baptized, or let me ask you the question that I ask everybody, right? Baptism is for remission of sins according to the scriptures. Okay, Acts 2:38 being one of the main ones. Baptism for remission of sins. Remission means that your sins are done away with as if they were never committed. Okay, remission is the cancellation of a debt, a charge, or penalty. Remission is forgiveness of sins. So what I always ask brothers or sisters is, if you don't get remission of sins through water baptism, then at what point do you get remission of sins? Because some people say, you get baptized through the fire. So when you go through trials and you pass them, then do you get remission of sins? But what trial is it then?
Nope.
There has to be, according to the scriptures, you have to be able to pinpoint when you're going to get remission of sins. Some people say you're baptized by water, which is the scriptures. So you get baptized by the word. You read the word every day and you're baptized every day. But then the scriptures say one faith, one baptism. So what I always ask people so they can come to their own conclusion, because I don't like just telling people this and that's it. Because then they try to think you're telling them what to do. And we know our people are hard-headed, stiff-necked, and they don't like to have anyone telling them what to do. So I'll ask you the same thing, brother. And you don't have to answer on here, just to provoke thought and understanding within yourself. If remission of sins, the cancellation or forgiveness of your sins isn't through water baptism, when you go under the water and come back up new, then at what point in time do you get remission of sins? Right? He said, I have nobody to baptize me in water. This is my first, what I've been hearing from you, my brother. I'm going to text you on Instagram. Khan. I'll praise the Most High. Khan. And me and a few other brothers are working out a thing right now. Most High willing, we'll get it going where we're just going to have a group chat, because I know a good handful or a little more than a handful of brothers all around the country that are baptizing in water for remission of sins through the power of Yahweh and Yahweh's name. And we're going to have a group chat to where we're just, if somebody wants to get baptized and they feel that they should, that we're just going to put them in the group chat. You can say where you live, and then we'll go from there. And if we got to, we've already traveled all of us pretty much have traveled some distance or help brothers and sisters travel to do so as well if you need help with that. Right? So we're going to finish, though, with Luke 21:36.
Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
So this is something that I know me and this brother try to pray every day in our households, and that everybody should be praying, because Yahushua said this, right? He said, watch first. We got to be watching all the things that are coming to pass. And then it says, pray always that you're accounted worthy to escape all the things that are going to happen. All the things we just read. When you look at Luke 21, you look at Matthew 24, you look at 2nd Ezra 14, 15, 16, all of these things that are going to come to pass. When you look at Revelation 18, when you look at a whole bunch of books, a whole bunch of chapters in Jeremiah and Isaiah as well, that are prophesying all the things that are starting to come to pass and that are going to come to pass, man, you're going to make sure you pray this, like the brother said. It says, pray always, you'll be accounted worthy to escape these things and to stand before the Son of Man. Because we've seen all these movies, Book of Eli and The Purge and all these other movies.
How it ends and all types of stuff.
All this stuff is, imagine all those movies put together and then even worse. That's what's going to happen in Jacob's trouble. Like I gave the example of earlier today, just seeing, it really put things in perspective earlier this week when I saw the sister lose her phone and seeing how she just looked panicked, right? Imagine if you lose electricity. Imagine if you're in a big city. If you're in a big city and the electricity goes out, or an EMP goes off and you can't use your car now.
Can't do nothing.
What are you going to do?
Oh my gosh.
So this is why it is important, and this is why we are exhorting all of you brothers and sisters to haste to flee from these times. And again, I'm going to give you the haste definition one more time. Haste is to hurry up to do something. It's using excessive speed or urgency of movement or action. To hurry. You gotta haste to flee from these times. The times that we're living in right now is so easy for everybody. You can literally just be on your phone and on social media or watching Netflix all day and still live. You can just, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go out and get something to eat or order something. But what's going to happen when that's not a thing anymore? When a man will desire to go into a city but not be able to, like it says in Second Ezra. So you have to haste to flee from these times, seek the old paths, and come out of her. And if you don't, and you've been warned to do such, then if it leads to something bad,
So far.
Yahweh willing it doesn't, most high willing Yahweh don't. But if it does, you're not gonna have any excuse. And if it does happen, guess what? I bet you in that day the Most High is gonna remind you of the times that he reminded you through his scriptures that you needed to do such.
Ain't nothing worse than the pain and regret.
Con. There's nothing worse than the pain and regret.
That's real torment right there.
So Khan, like the brother said, call hello, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah, to all the brothers and sisters striving to live out the truth, not just learn, not just read the truth, but live out the truth in sincerity and in humility and in truth and in faithfulness. I pray all of you, brothers and sisters, seek the Most High 10 times more, that you haste to flee from these times, that you seek the old paths, and that you decide to willingly and strive to come out of her spiritually, physically, mentally. You have anything you want to add out?
Pursue the old path, man. That's literally that's all I've been saying. The brother's been saying it way longer than I have. The scripture's been saying it longer than anybody. So, I mean, it's the best thing you can do is pursue the old path. Start with what you got, use what you can, and thank the Most High in the process. That's all I got. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah to all y'all.
Khan, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah, Shar Shabbat to everybody observing the Sabbath, everybody who's going to listen to
Shar
this
Shabbat.
later on. One Sabbath closer to the kingdom. If you know, you know.
Yup.
Y'all, you stay safe as well, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah.